Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV for Motorsport Australia's first esports event of 2024. And it's one for a good cause. It's going to be a lot of fun this afternoon and tonight. It is Motorsport Australia's DriveOnCancer charity event. Donation link down at the bottom of your screen on the ticker, supporting Cure Cancer. Aussie Online Gaming hosting this event in cooperation with Motorsport Australia, raising money for charity. It's going to be fantastic. We're racing GTPs at Daytona International Speedway for 2.5 hours, and your donations can change the face of the race if you so choose. To bring it to you all live here on SimSpeed TV, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, SimSpeed TV and Motorsport Australia's Facebook pages. Shout out to you. Also Twitch and Kick. It's me, Reese Gardner, with Ryan Jones alongside me in the comms box. Jay Kennedy is behind the scenes shouting in our ears and handling production behind the scenes. Well, Ryan, good to be with you again. And it's a classic combination. Prototypes at Daytona. This is going to be a fun night.
Thank you, Reese. Yeah, it's going to be one I think a lot of these drivers have spent a lot of time in preparing the GTP recently, because next week in iRacing land is 24 hours of Daytona. Yes. So these cars have been getting a workout on the simulator as of late, as we flying overhead on Daytona in Florida, one of the more iconic racetracks in the world of motorsport. Dare I say the most iconic race?
Yeah, well, definitely one of, and if you're in America, Daytona is the racetrack you know about. This place has been around for quite some time, since the late 50s to be exact, and of course we are running the classic 24-hour layout road course of this speedway. It's a flat infield section, but it's a lot more difficult than it looks. The braking zone for turn 1 is always a trouble spot, and you have to be careful going into the International and West Horseshoes. And of course, the Le Mans chicane, which we affectionately call the bus stop. It's certainly a place where we're going to see some potential corner cut penalties and maybe some high speed incidents as well. But a very high average speed around this circuit, especially in the GTP car as they race in IMSA. We've got the Cadillac, the Acura, and the BMW and Porsche as well. Good field spread amongst these cars.
It is, and it's a fantastic class. That different variety, as you mentioned, those 4 or 5 different manufacturers, and actually on track, they're just finishing up their qualifying session here as well. They have 20 minutes to qualify for this race, 2.5 hours ahead of us, which should equate to roughly a 3-stop race in terms of fuel. But as you also mentioned, Reece, plenty of different I don't know what to call them, different factors to play into this race. With the donations, as you see in race, we can basically give whoever you want a drive-through penalty with a $50 donation. So if your mate's leading the race, drop a $50 donation to cure cancer and might help them on the way to victory lane.
Yeah, certainly might. That's the full list of penalties there. And we've already had requests from the $10 donations for drivers to be focused on for a lap in the broadcast. So wait until lap 43 at the very least. There may very well be more. And hey, if you really want to bring out the big bucks, you can call a safety car and a wave around for the car of your choice if you donate $250. We are already raised 630 Australian dollars with entry fees and the like towards the Game On Cancer initiative. And hopefully we can break the $1,000 mark and maybe even reach our donation goal of 1,500 Australian dollars. Wherever you're watching, go to that URL that you see on your screen and you can donate to the cause. Simply fantastic to see these initiatives and get 2024 started off on a high note. We are in warm-up now, and currently pole position is belonging to the number 44 of Daniel Benefield, who set a 1 minute 30.337 in qualifying. Let's take a look at how he did it. Coming round the banking here at Daytona. I am informed that we are not looking at Daniel Benefield just yet, but we will at some point in the warm-up before we get things going here. But Cody Metcalf, who's going to be starting the race in 21st place, just demonstrating, well, I suppose, a small portion of the lap here at Daytona. But we get a good view of what the cars go through here on the infield, Ryan. It's very bumpy, heavy braking zones, and there are plenty of overtaking opportunities, but you have to be smart about how you do them. The track's quite narrow.
Indeed it is, and it can be hard to set up that run coming off the corners to, get close enough to make that move into the next one. It's quite a flowing circuit at points, but a lot of heavy braking zones as well. It's a really fun place to go racing and very hard to get right. Just looking at the qualifying results, Benefield's brain moves at 4/10 on P2, and then there's only 0.6 of a second covering the next 12 cars. So very, very close if you take Benefield out of the equation.
Yeah, indeed. So if you want to target someone with your donations, make it Daniel Benefield. Make him work for that victory. We'll have to wait and see how things go there. Daniel Benefield is also going to be chatting with us later on. He's one of the drivers that's volunteered to do in-race commentary with us. We might very well get Simon Mazzomo in there as well. And in terms of full-time commentators, we got Scott Rankin, who's going to be joining us later on as well. But let's take a look finally at that pole lap from Daniel Benefield, Ryan. Starting off the lap as good as you want here with a nice straight run into turn one, taking the wide entry and then clipping the apex, straighten it up on the exit, and then you run your way down to the International Horseshoe. Cut across the pit lane exit, brake hard, and try and maintain speed here. Straighten up the car as soon as you possibly can for the run down the next straight. Now here's one of the points of the lap where things are going to get difficult, the kink. It's flat out in these cars, but as you can see, there is not much room for maneuvering. And then you get into the Western Horseshoe as well. Difficult to line up the exit. It is curved, and then you exit the infield and onto the oval with yet another very difficult braking zone. There's a lot of bumps here on the exit of the corner too.
Yeah, and you're trying to accelerate and get the car turned at the same time. It can be really tricky. Fortunately, these GTPs have quite a bit of downforce to assist them in that endeavour, a bit easier than a GT3 car to get it out onto the oval, which is pretty simple, Reese. Hold it flat, hug the yellow line, and hope that you don't have to defend into the bus stop, because this is not a place you really want to be trying to overtake. The entry speed is so high, the mid-corner speed so high in these GTP's cars as he cuts a very fine line through that chicane across the curbs and back out onto the oval again through NASCAR 3 and 4, should we call them? And it's a long, long run down to the start-finish line. Could be a factor at the end of this race, the slipstream effect, the slingshot out of the bus stop chicane and to the line here. We have seen it in the past. Plenty of overtakes and leads have been lost in that short few hundred meter stretch.
Indeed, they have top speeds of around 335 k's an hour in these GTP cars. It's just incredible the speeds these guys reach. But Daniel Benefield reached the highest speed. He locks out the front row for Drop Bear Motorsports with his teammate Tyson Broad. Moving on to the second row of the grid, Kiwi Sim Racing's Ewan Baker is going to start alongside Jack Mara, and that's quite a team name there. Scuderia DSR Snacker Changi. That's going to be fun to say a few times. With Simon Mazzomo starting in 5th for 9.5 Sim Sports alongside Cruz Mason, part of the Race on Oz squad there. We've seen Cruz plenty in V8 Scops and the like. Ethan Bass in one of the few Acuras in this field, starting for Orbit Motorsport alongside Toby Musico, privateer in the Porsche. And then we have Dean Jacobson and Aidan Luthwaite rounding out our top 10.
Alexander Wilson just missed that top 10. He'll start 11th with Scott Travis alongside him in the sister Scuderia DSR. What was it? Snacker Changi entry. The 6th row of the grid. Yeah, that'll be a fun one. Caleb Ballack and Billy Harrell line up on row 7 together. Only a second off pole there in P13. Really tight field, especially when you factor in that 4/10 margin that Benefield had. Harrison Arden and Jackson Austin share row 6 of the grid, row 8 of the grid together for Mid-Pack Motorsport. And Race on Oz, Isaac Edwards comes out of 17th for Race on Oz, and David John Parrott for Mid-Pack Motorsports as well. Running out our top 20, Rory Wilson and Dan Mirko. Another Race on Oz entry and another Mid-Pack Motorsport entry. Those are the only 2 teams in the last 6 spots, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen many. Rounding out our field, GM Sim Sports, that's a new team there. Cody Metcalf, he's going to start alongside Full Send Motorsports' Greg Patrick. Many Cadillacs in this field. The Cadillac has been the favourite among the GTP field for quite some time, with Michael Cullen, another Acura there, starting in 23rd place. And of course, we do have 3 individuals in the McLaren 570S race control cars, with Kurt Nommensen, the last of our field here in the BMW, the only BMW in the field and the only driver to not set a time in qualifying. Lachlan Capel and Dan Yeaman are in race control along with Sebastian Flock. They will bring out that McLaren safety car if one is indeed called. Remember, if you want to call a safety car, you can donate either $150 or $250 to the cause URL at the bottom of the screen. And if you want to wave around for a team of your choice, then go for the $250 option and make us reach that $1,500 donation goal ever faster. I really love this format of donations to make things happen in the race. It's been done by quite a few events, including Jimmy Broadbent's Race for Mental Health late last year. But it's caught on, and I really enjoy it, Ryan.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it affects the race, whether there's a few drivers out there with plenty of friends willing to donate and help them forward in this race. I think collectively, as we all as a group can donate to push Daniel Benefield further backwards in the field, give him a few drive-through penalties, stop and goes in the Le Mans chicane will make his race very, very tricky. Maybe his teammate Tyson Broad will need to get some of those donations out while he's heading around there. And I did note the 3 race control cards race. Do we have that little faith in our safety car driver that we need 2 backups out there?
Well, you know, it's always handy to have a couple of backups, isn't it? I wish I had a backup of my old phone, which I accidentally went into the pool with on Boxing Day. It spent like 15 minutes underwater, and now I'm trying to get the data recovered from it. So, you know, always have a backup, kids, and AOG certainly know that lesson. So, this is the format here. The 20-minute qualifying has already been done. We're in the warm-up at the moment, just 3.5 minutes left, and 2.5 hours for the race. Likely going to be 3 pit stops required. The GTPs don't have a fuel tank restriction for this race, but it doesn't last very long anyway. Around about 45 minutes is the average stint length at most tracks for these cars. So that's the consideration for the drivers. When do you take those pit stops? Do you just run the tank dry, or do you try to reverse engineer the strategy? How about we ask the pole sitter, says Jay, as we bring Daniel Benefield in for the first time. Welcome, Dan. How are you going to be approaching this race strategy-wise?
Well, I was kind of hoping for a harder track, to be honest. It would make getting the extra lap on the fuel a bit easier with the fuel restrictions we've got on the Porsche.
Coming out of the pit lane now. It seems like you definitely have the pace here, Dan, and the Porsche, when it was first introduced, wasn't one of the favourite cars in terms of pace in the GTP class. So what's the reason you decided to go for the Porsche?
I only drive Porsches.
Fair enough. No need to elaborate.
when Yaman asked what car I was driving for this race, I'm like, you had to ask. Yes, I was one of the diehards that even last season when the Porsche was a bit trash, that still drove it for some stupid reason.
How does the Porsche shape up then compared to the other manufacturers in terms of strengths and disadvantages? And you mentioned the fuel issue as well for the Porsche, slightly less, I'm guessing, than the others.
It's just a bot. We got slightly less. I think we're missing 1% of fuel, but ironically, that 1% would have got us the extra lap without having to say. So, yeah, just a little bit of saving required to get the extra lap. But to be honest, it's not that hard to do in these cars. Normally in multi-class, at least anyway, it might be a bit different tonight.
Yeah, certainly might. Well, we definitely wish you the best of luck, Dan, and we hope that you'll be able to join us a few more times over the 2.5 hours to come. Let's see what you can do from that pole position.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many safety cars there are. Obviously, the donation ones, but runs for instance as well. So, not quite sure how many times we're going to go under yellow today.
Yeah, indeed. We will have to wait and see here as we go through the last minute of our warm-up session. That's Daniel Benefield there, and we will be checking in with him and Simon Mazzomo, maybe even Tyson Broad, later on in the race. We are 30 seconds away from the gridding time for this race to come. And I am hyped, Ryan. This is always a classic. January is Daytona month on iRacing, and what a way to kick it off.
Absolutely. I think we should have got Benefield to commentate the start of the race from pole.
Yeah, certainly.
Very interesting. And this is going to be a fantastic one. Rolling start, of course, in these GTPs. They'll put up a lot of speed towards turn one, and it's a very tricky braking zone, isn't it, Reese? Trying to turn and brake at the same time. Trying to turn and do anything at the same time in any race car is tricky, but especially in a big pack of cars, braking down into turn number one. There's a little crest across the road as you come off the banking as well. It's one of the trickier places on the racetrack.
Yeah, certainly is. I can't wait to see what kind of fanning out of the field we get in that concrete runoff area coming into turn one. But one of the big choke points on the lap, I think, is actually the International Horseshoe. We should see some interesting moves into that corner coming onto the first turn here. Well, the grid time is going, and we don't have very long, only about 30 seconds before the drivers roll away behind the iRacing-controlled AI safety car. And remember, that's probably not the last time you're going to see it. Remember, $150 or $250 donation gets a safety car. The $250 gets you a wave around for the driver of your choice. And there's a whole bunch of donation rewards you can get here. For example, the $10 donation, which we've already had one of. You can make the car of your choice the focus of the broadcast for a lap. 3 angles of the same car. It's certainly going to be fun. Well, the time is done now. And it's a very short formation lap here, Ryan. We are starting on the back stretch just before the bus stop, and then we'll be rolling straight away and getting this race going.
That there is. There's 2 fast repairs or spare cars available to these drivers as well. So if they do get into an incident, they can get back to pit lane and utilize those to get back in the race. And this event organised by the Aussie Online AOG, Aussie Online Gaming, they they have a rule as well that's quite widely used, no escape rule. So if you have an accident and you can't get moving, you can't hit that reset button, you've got to sit there, request permission to tow from race control, and oftentimes that will draw the safety car out onto the racetrack. So it's a good rule, brings some extra realism into the racing and means that there's always a danger of a safety car appearing right when you don't want it. It's fine margins in motorsport, as Bennyfield mentioned. That carries over to the sim world as well. 1% difference in the fuel has made a big difference to their strategy. What will be the difference in this one today? 2.5 hours ahead of us, Reese. Let's get this one going.
Indeed. Minor correction before things get going. There are actually 2 BMWs in the field, the other being driven by Alexander Wilson. We'll check in on him later. Let's check in on the entire field for the time being as Daniel Benefield puts the power down and the green flag flies. We are racing for Motorsport Australia DriveOnCancer. And already Tyson Broad and Daniel Benefield controlling the start here as they come into turn 1 for the first time. Simon Mazzomo gets up the inside of Jack Mara, but a little bit of a wiggle on the exit means that Mara's going to fight him here coming into the International Horseshoe. Looks like a clean start so far, but that might change in just a few moments. Looks like the drivers are mostly giving each other the room they need. Billy Harold going wide in the International Horseshoe and Jackson Austin in the other race on Oz Cadillac going for a spin as the front of the field is already into the West Horseshoe. And Tyson Broad having a little bit of a moment, lets Daniel Benefield get a slight gap over the rest of the field, and we are only halfway around the first lap. Now it's time for the oval, Ryan. Now it's time for the slipstream, and who's going to get out of that corner cleanly? Obviously not these two on screen.
Billy Harold was very unfortunate there. Luthwaite took avoiding action in front of him from a diving car on the inside, and Harold had to dart onto the grass to avoid contact when his teammate, Jackson Austin, just clipped the grass on the inside of turn 3 and it spun his car around as he fired onto the little short chute towards the horseshoe. So he goes for a spin. I think he kept it off the wall though. And oh no, we've got a crash out of the bus stop and it's a huge accident!
Huge! Oh, that's massive. Oh my God, how many cars are involved in that? I'm counting 4, maybe 5. Cruz Mason has lost his front left wheel. It's no longer attached to the car. Jack Mara has lost his front end. Rear wing gone for Ewan Baker. And Simon Mazzomo's front end has been destroyed too. That was huge.
Ewan Baker, he was a little wide coming out of the bus stop and he got through the grass, had a big wiggle, almost saved it, and then had the big snap into the wall and nowhere for those cars behind him to go.
Such a shame. No safety car, though. No one has requested a tow from that incident, yet at least. So the race does stay green, and Daniel Benefield and Tyson Broad still hold on to the top 2 places. That's such a shame for Mason, Baker, Mara, and Mazzomo, as Ethan Bass has a little issue in the Orbit Motorsports Acura coming out of the International Horseshoe. Meanwhile, 3-car fight here. Caleb Bellac, Toby Musico, and Dean Jacobson all fighting, and it's 2 Cadillacs versus a Porsche here. Is that a bratwurst in American sliced white bread? I'm not sure. Oh,
another spinner, another race in Oscar. Dan Mirko's gone around, heading back up onto the oval. That's where you're trying to turn and accelerate at the same time. And Caleb Bellac is going to have to watch those rear mirrors because Toby Musico should have an excellent slipstream. We'll get a good gauge of how strong the slipstream is here as he sits probably a couple tenths behind him. Closing in towards 300 kilometers an hour. Here we go. Now he's closing right at the end as they reach top speed. The slipstream effect comes in. Bellac moves up. Musico moves back down. Ducking and diving, can't find a way through. Not this time by, but 2 hours left to get that done.
Indeed. Let's get a replay of how all of that went down coming out of the bus stop. And oh yeah, Ewan Baker just catching the grass. And unfortunately, when you have a spin there with the safer barrier right next to you, there's only one place you're going to go, and that is into the field. And I think Baker will be feeling a bit sheepish after that one. Fortunately, he has used one of his 2 fast repairs and is back out onto the circuit. And the same can be said for Mason, Mara, and Mazzomo. So fortunately, we still have all cars running, at least from what I can see. Dean Jacobson is in the pit lane at the moment and losing spots, being stopped for in excess of 40 seconds now. So fortunately, the majority of our field still running for the time being. This battle still going on here between Bellac and Musico. It looks to me like Scott Travis has fallen off the back of them. But let's see what Musico can do this time versus Bellac as they come back out onto the oval. Will there be the move up from Bellac once more, or will Musico stake his claim?
I think Jacobson might have been going for some sort of alternate strategy there, because he was running seemingly without damage before he poured into the pit. So keep an eye on him and see how he shakes out at the end of this one, as Musico got ever close, but it's so hard to overtake there. I mean, you're turning, as we keep mentioning, but it also means that often there's a gap on the inside that isn't really a gap, because that leading car is always going to swoop in and take it.
Indeed. Well, we see Ethan Bass, I think, doing the same thing here, and we got actually a couple of cars coming in. The O2 of Rory Wilson in there as well. So, yeah, we're seeing drivers further back in the field deciding to go for their first pit stop very early, and they'll obviously be hoping that that allows them to take some kind of advantage later on. If there is a safety car, those drivers will benefit versus those who stayed out. Here's the battle for 8th. It is David Parrott and Billy Harold, and they are joined by Isaac Edwards. It's a double-pronged Race on Oz assault versus the 888, and it looks to me like Harold has the momentum in the slipstream.
He does, but you don't really want to take it into the chicane here. Just bide your time. There'll be an easy...
No, he's not listening to you.
He thought about it. He decides not to. You've got a much easier overtake, in theory, up towards turn 1. Still tricky, but easier than a chicane. I'm just thinking, how many cars need to pit early here for it to stop becoming an alternate strategy and become the primary strategy?
Yeah, that's, I mean, I would say 50-50 is, here we go. The battle between Bellac and Musico for 3rd. It is hyping up once more here. Musico deciding to go for the outside in turn 1 this time, but it's still not working. Bellac is putting on a great defensive drive right now.
And that's one of the good things as a racer heading towards turn 1, knowing you're giving that massive slipstream to the car behind. If you park it on the inside, it's very hard to go the long way around there.
Yeah, indeed it is. You're better off trying to go for the wide entry into turn 1 and straight line the exit, and then you might be able to sneak through on the inside of your opponent before you get to the little S-bend of turns 2 and 3. Well, here we go then. Musico making up a little bit of extra time in the braking zones, but it seems like Bellac's strength is getting on the power. He did have a little wiggle, but he's managing to maintain the momentum there, which is good to see. At least if you're not Tony Musico, he'll be thinking quite a bit about how to approach this.
We've already dropped 7.5 seconds to Daniel Benefield as well, so falling ever backwards, but holding on to that podium spot for now. Benefield holding a 2.3 second advantage over his teammate Tyson Broad, as we get this wide shot of them coming out of the oval, back off the banking. And watch how Musical is able to close up. I don't think he's quite as close this lap as he was last time by. He's not actually going to get alongside him unless he sends a big dive bomb up the inside. No. Good patience being shown here by Musico. He knows it's a long race, knows there's plenty of time. Might recognize he doesn't have the pace to get to the top 2, so there's nothing to gain really by getting super aggressive and trying to get ahead here.
Oh, speaking of aggressive, and forcing the issue too. Wow, that was, big crisscross. Scott Travis versus Aiden Luthwaite here. Aiden does have the inside for the kink, so Travis might just have to yield here, but no, he's going to try and stick it up the inside here and fight back. A little bit of contact. How was that not a spin for either of them? Well held from the two Cadillacs.
Just listening into Daniel Benefield over the in-race chat, bit of a scary issue for him as a car rejoined right in front of him, and he's alerted race control to that issue, but let's play on there. I didn't see an issue in that.
Yeah, looks like it was Rory Wilson who was the car who rejoined ahead of him. Well, this battle is still going on here with, a little bit of biff and barge between these two Cadillacs coming in through the bus stop. It looks to me like Scott Travis actually has a tiny bit of damage to his front right here, but it's not hurt his straight line speed. Look at that. He's going to try and stake the outside of turn 1 here. Will Aiden Luthwaite be able to survive on the inside? You've really got to think about the change in angle of the surface here from the NASCAR Tri-Oval down to Turn 1. There's a little bit of a bump involved too. Good defense from Aiden Luthwaite. He stays ahead, and once again, Travis has to yield. All of this battling is bringing the BMW of Alexander Wilson right into the fold.
Under pressure, though, just runs a little wide at the horseshoe. Gave Travis a small invitation, but able to get the exit. Is the road just a little bit off camber down at Turn 1? Because it always feels like as you get further to the outside, it just keeps going further and further. Here's the replay from Benefield. There's that rejoin. Little twitch of the nose, but there's no contact.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why he would call that one out to race control, but I feel like it was, if it was a little bit more of a close call, then it might be worth looking into, but I think just let sleeping dogs lie for now. Keeping an eye on Luthwaite, Travis, and Wilson for the time being. This is such a fun fight to look at. The two Cadillacs going at it. It seems like Luthwaite has the advantage now in terms of pace, especially with that tiny bit of damage Scott Travis is carrying. But we might see a Cadillac versus BMW battle soon if that keeps up.
Took too much of the exit curb there to Travis. Picks up a slowdown.
Ooh.
And when you get one of those slowdowns out of the chicane, you can just ride around the top of the racetrack and it will generally clear itself pretty quickly. But he does give up the spot to Alex Wilson, who picks up P7.
He does indeed. Yep. Also saw a spin for Cody Metcalf in the number 18, but no one else was involved in that. The battle is starting to heat up here between the two Race on Oz cars as the number 4 of Billy Harold has to yield to Isaac Edwards there. Big lockup coming into Turn 1, and we're going to be seeing that quite a bit, I think, Ryan. I mentioned the surface change just a little earlier, and it's very easy to overshoot the braking zone there.
Picking up this battle between Balak and Musico again. Balak's still hanging on, but Musico's glued to that rear bumper now, and Balak is just sliding ever so slightly coming onto NASCAR Turn 1. Musico may be close enough to get alongside into the chicane if he wants to go for that move. We'll see what he does here. I think he's just lifted off the throttle there. He has, so he's going to bide his time, continue to wait. There's also a point where, Reese, where the slingshot, the slipstream effect is at its maximum. Oh, that's a fantastic exit from Musico. Balak chasing up the racetrack there. You don't need to do that, just hold the inside. There we go, now he's back to the bottom.
Yeah, it's the shorter way around the racetrack, and Musico still has the momentum, but Belak with the inside line will still stay alongside coming into Turn 1. I'd gather he would have the advantage here if he can apply his brakes correctly. Half a car width between them as they got to the braking zone, and very wisely Tony Musico pulls out once more, but you can tell that he's got what it takes to make the move here. Yeah,
more to the point I was getting at earlier too, the track feels like it falls away ever so slightly on the outside of Turn 1. Makes it so much harder to go the long way around there.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I've done a few Daytona 24s with my team, and it's one of the places where I always seem to lose time, and I can never quite figure out why. It's one of those lines where every line is possible, and all of them are wrong.
That's right, Reese. I lose time at every other corner as well.
Yeah, well, I feel that. A little bit of a wiggle for Belak on the exit there. And it looks to me like it's going to be a repeat of the previous lap here. Musico actually pulling out of the draft here. He doesn't want that extra boost in straight line speed before the bus stop. You can make overtakes into this corner, but it requires the ultimate cooperation between everyone involved. And you see once again that Musico is actually backing off a little bit on the entry into the bus stop. That results in a better exit for him. Belak is more aggressive on the way in, which means he loses speed on the way out.
I don't think he's in the right spot to make the move this lap as we get a little split screen action side by side. The battle for P3. Musico will look high, but nothing's going there. And at the bottom of the screen, two Race and Oz cars lining up behind David Parrott, Billy Harold. Now Isaac Edwards in tow. Harold, the big dive, locks up the left front, isn't going to pull that up in time. Parrott goes back through. Edwards, I think, lets his teammate rejoin in front of him. Big ambition there from Harold.
Jeez. Yeah, that was almost a Monza Turn 1 moment, and yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you go too deep in Turn 1 at Daytona. Alex Wilson, meanwhile, under pressure now from Scott Travis, who's gotten pace back after his slowdown earlier, gets up the inside of the Western Horseshoe, but could be the outside line where you want to be for Alex Wilson. Manages to straighten up the car a little bit earlier and get the inside for the turn onto the oval once more. But you can see that Scott Travis is starting to pile it on once more and driving in spite of that damage, keeping an eye on the battle for third as well. Bellac, you see the view from the rear of him there. Tony Musico backing off once more, coming into the bus stop, but this time he does not get the exit he needs.
A warning as well just been issued to Rory Wilson for that rejoin. So race control being a little more harsh than I was up here. They've decided, don't do that next time. Basically, is what that says.
Yeah, basically. And I think, all things considered, that's what you would want to see for something like that. A little bit of a tap on the shoulder of the driver and play on. Meanwhile, look at Wilson. He's trying his best to hold on to this position, but Scott Travis going around the outside of turn 1. It is indeed possible. Inside for the International Horseshoe, usually the car on the inside gets it, and that is exactly what happens there as the battle just behind them is gearing up once more. David Parrott now still having to defend against Billy Harold, but nothing doing there as Wilson tries to find his way back past Scott Travis. He knows that he has the pace here. It looks like both of them are carrying a little bit of damage now. Alex Wilson to the front left.
Yeah, Travis is just struggling a little bit getting the power down. He's having these slides out of almost all of the corners in the traction zones. Probably cost him a couple times when he was trying to pass Wilson, but he's got ahead now. He'll try to use some of that clean air and pull away from Wilson. Had a great exit back up onto the oval and has given himself a handy little margin in towards the bus stop chicane.
Indeed he has. Can he line up the exit here? Looks like roughly equal between the two cars. 2 hours and 13 minutes remaining, which means there's 2 hours and 13 minutes to get your donations in. Remember, it's $10 donation for the car of your choice to be focused on for a lap, all the way up to $250 donation for a safety car and a wave around for a team of your choice. Make sure to go to the URL at the bottom of the screen on the ticker. It's also pinned in all of our stream chats. So please, if you're able, donate to the cause and support DriveOnCancer. Keeping an eye on the fight between Musico and Bellac here for third place. And he's just biding his time, isn't he?
He is. Can someone on the lead lap donate for a safety car and a wave around and put themselves a lap ahead?
Yeah, they definitely could. There's no restrictions on who can donate.
Keep that in mind.
Yes, certainly. Who has the cash? Who has the deepest pockets in this field? That is the question. Well, this fight, still not seeing anything explosive happening, but again, I think Musico, he might just be doing a little bit of fuel saving as well. Remember, he's one of the drivers that is on what I suppose we're calling the prime strategy of just letting the fuel tank run out. He knows that it's difficult to get past Bellac, so maybe it's smart to just sit behind, lift off a bit into the corners. That means that it's probably going to pay dividends later on for the strategy. Yeah,
as you mentioned, the shorter time you can spend stationary in the pits, the better it's going to be for you. Bellac's not leaving him a lot of room this time. Musico had a great run. Found that sweet spot in the slipstream. Came on strong very late, but can't go the long route around the first corner. Bellac and Musico having a great little battle here. But the longer this goes on, the more you've got to wonder if Musico is going to start to get frustrated and try to force the issue.
Yeah, you never know. Like I say, maybe this is an opportunity for him to extend his first stint and save a bit of fuel. I would suggest that tyres would be taken at every pit stop, because these pit stops are run to IMSA rules, which means tyres and fuel are both done at the same time. So there's not going to be much to talk about in the way of tyre strategy, but fuel strategy, there's definitely a few things to talk about there. We did see quite a few drivers pit just a few minutes into the race to get their first pit stop out of the way. And now we wait to see who blinks first of the drivers who have decided to stay out.
These sorts of battles, when you're in the driver's seat, at least for me, can often feel like they're dragging on much, much longer than they actually are, which can lead to those more aggressive maneuvers. As Balak, he almost faked out, left the inside open for Musico, and then at the last minute said, no, I'm only kidding. I'm blocking the inside again this lap.
Yeah, look at them go. Tiny little lock-up for Musico on the way to turn 1. And Belak holds strong for a few moments longer. This is such an entertaining fight, and looks like lap traffic could be a factor in it at some point. Rory Wilson's just up ahead of him. Oh no. Already plenty of issues for Scott Travis, and now it has resulted in a spin coming through turn 1. I get the feeling either he overshot or he lost the rear on the way in. We'll find out now.
It's a rear sort of at the turning point, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just a lazy spin. That'll be disappointing for him. He did all that work to get back up ahead of Wilson. Now he's down in 11th place behind Harrison Arendt, who was having a bit of a go at Isaac Edwards into turn 1 last lap.
Yeah, certainly. Well, there's definitely potential for Scott Travis to make up 2 more positions there if he plays his cards right. There's a change for position here between Jack Mara and Michael Cullen. Looks like the move was made there at turn 1. Michael Cullen, also part of the Pixel Racer Club, which Caleb Belak is a member of too, and driving in different cars for this one. Keeping an eye as well on the battle for what is now 9th place. Isaac Edwards up into 9th spot, and Harrison Arendt is making his way further forward here. The gap is steadily dropping. We will keep an eye on that for sure. Gently does it on the way into turn 1 for these drivers. And I mean, looking especially at onboards like this, you'll be able to see that turn 1 at Daytona is such a difficult turn, and it's easy to see why Scott Travis had his spin a little earlier, because the corner tightens up right in the middle, and if you don't pick your turn-in point perfectly, you could clip the grass and spin, or if you get on the throttle too aggressively when the car is fully gripped up, then you'll lose that rear grip in an instant.
Visibility a bit of an issue as well for anyone running the HDR on their monitors, with that sun blasting from just above the banking in oval 1 and 2. Michiko is almost pushing Caleb Balak down towards the chicane. You don't want to come off the chicane glued to the bumper, because you're not going to get any slipstream effect, really. You want to be a few tenths back so you can suck up and get more and more speed and then pull out. Try to use that slingshot.
Yeah, absolutely. The slipstream starts taking effect from about 1 to 1.5 seconds back. So that's the optimal if you want to get the maximum effect. And surprise, surprise, Caleb Belak is sticking to the inside, but this time Musico doesn't draw alongside. He's starting to change tack a little bit, isn't he?
Might want to turn his attention to jumping him in the pit stop. If he can be stationary for a couple tenths shorter than Caleb Balak, that'll be all he needs to get ahead, as we see Jack Mara here heading the long way around.
Nice move.
Yeah, that's a beautiful move. And then gets the traction as well. He's up top. Just managed to clear him as he swoops back down to the bottom.
That was Kurt Nommensen that he made the move on. Meanwhile, look at this. 3-car fight now. This is the number 77. That's Greg Patrick. Harrison Arendt making his way past Jackson Austin for a few moments, but ending up having to fall back behind. You see the other race on Oz car of Cruz Mason very close behind them. It's going to be interesting to see if he can catch up. It was actually Dan Mirko I was going to mention there. I got my race on Oz cars confused. It looks like it might be a slowdown for Mirko. Regardless, a 3-car fight is one in which all 3 cars will likely be losing time, especially if you take those lines through the bus stop. So Mirko might have a chance here. There'll definitely be a chance for Austin. He's in the slipstream behind Greg Patrick. So what does Patrick do? Does he leave the inside open or stick to the inside? He's going to do the latter, which is the default option here at Daytona, but look at the momentum there in the race on Oz Cadillac. How aggressive is he going to be coming into turn 1? Greg Patrick is the more aggressive, and very wisely Jackson Austin lets him go, but Patrick goes a bit deep into turn 1 and loses 2 positions in the process. There goes Harrison Arendt past in the Porsche.
Got the old swapper going with the rear end. Had to jam on the brakes, pull that thing up, and as you mentioned, loses out to the number 35 as well. 2 for the price of 1. Austin will be quite pleased with that. Took the safe route, still up the spot. Now he can press on, try to chase after Scott Travis, who's clawed his way back up to the rear bumper of Isaac Edwards. Rear bumper? Is that the right term? These things don't have bumpers, do they?
I'd say rear diffuser, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, these cars have both front and rear diffusers, which is awesome. I love the aero philosophy of prototypes. They are the fastest closed-wheel racing cars on the planet right now, and here comes Scott Travis to make his way past Isaac Edwards inside line coming into the bus stop, and Edwards had to delay his turn in there a moment. Travis wasn't quite by.
Yeah, he had 2 goes at it, turned in, realised he was about to pit manoeuvre Travis, turned back out. Very tricky for Edwards there, but great awareness to allow Travis through after he committed to the move. One of those scenarios where if you do go for the move with the chicane, if you commit to it, and the other driver on the outside tries to stay with you, you're both going to have a crash. You're really relying on that car on the outside to recognise you've committed. So it's a very brave move. Travis gets it done. He's been aggressive today. Back up to P9.
And speaking of positions, the first one here, Daniel Benefield, he has gotten a lead of 8 seconds over his teammate Tyson Broad. So these two have been absolutely storming it around Daytona in the Porsches here. Very good pace from the Drop Bear Motorsport cars. And
sorry.
Go on.
Do you reckon we should have a little chat to Simon Mizzano? He's probably having a bit of a lonely race out there. He's running last at the moment of the cars in the lead lap. He's taken that early pit stop.
Yeah, indeed. It's a bit of a difficult position to be in as we now have Mez in the box with us. How are things going for you, Simon?
Peachy. I'm having a good old time out here. Just cruising around in the Porsche. It's I actually can't complain. Not the ideal start, but this still is quite a pleasure to drive at the moment.
How has that early pit stop panned out for you? Obviously forced upon you by the accident, but we saw a couple other cars come in for what seemed like a scheduled early pit stop. So does that really play into your favour at all? Is that an alternate strategy that this works out for?
At the moment, I need a safety car. There's no way to get back into this one without one, even though it's like 2 hours, so you got time to work it back. But yeah, at this point, I need a safety car to really get back into it. But saying that, I'll keep plugging away at it. You never know what can happen, so it's still got 2 hours left in it. And at the moment, my pace is about on par with Benefield. So yeah, you never know what can happen in this one.
I know how you can get a safety car.
Yep, bit preoccupied though, unfortunately. Unless you want to donate some money for me, Ryan, that'd be awesome.
I mean, this track's mostly straights and ovals. You've got time to get on your phone.
You're really overestimating my abilities there, Reese.
You have abilities. We've seen you race. You've had quite some success in 2023, and especially since joining 9.5 SimSports very recently. With 2 hours remaining in the event, I suppose going back to that unfortunate first lap incident. What was your view of it? You obviously wouldn't have had much time to react to that.
No, nothing at all. I saw him go sideways, and yeah, it was just the fact the car came down. If it had stayed up for a bit longer, probably would have been okay, but there's really nothing you can do in that situation. We're already sort of at the bottom of the track, so to speak. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Looks like he just lost it on cold tyres, which is so easy to do in these things. Even though they've got a lot of downforce, when the tyres aren't up to temp, they really bite you hard. So you've sort of got to spend a couple of laps to sort of get into a rhythm. So I think that's just what just happened there. So nothing sinister, just is what it is. You get that, I guess.
Yeah, you certainly do. Well, what's next for you in this race? Is it just a matter of letting the tank run out and try and get positions where you can?
Yeah, pretty much. Just run flat out. I know there's a bit of fuel saving going on with a few other drivers, so because obviously they're in a much better position. But nah, for me, it's just going to be run flat out for as long as I can and see where I end up at the end. It looks like I'm starting to catch. Actually, yeah, I've got Michael and Dean in front of me that I'm only about 3 seconds off, so there'll be a couple of spots out of that one, and yeah, just go from there, I guess.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Simon Mazzomo, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the race as we check in with Michael Cullen, who's involved in quite this battle here with Dean Jacobson, and the amount of time that they are costing each other, Mez might very well get the run on them. We will have to wait and see on that front, Ryan.
Yeah, it's just comparing lap times, just as he mentioned, he was going pretty well. Last time by, he was 2/10 slower than Bannerfield. Lap before that, he matched Bannerfield. Dean Jacobson ahead of him as well, lapping about the same speed as Mazzomo. So those two drivers could both very much benefit from a safety car intervention as we pick up Billy Harold heading down towards turn 1. Around the outside of Alex Wilson. A little bit of contact. The long way works, though. Harold picks up the spot, moves himself up to P6, and it seems noticeably darker in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, certainly does. I mean, we are racing late in the afternoon. It's currently 5:19 p.m. in sim time, and a very cold track as well. And it's probably only going to get colder as the race goes on. Let's check in, meanwhile, on Greg Patrick, Harrison Arendt, and Dan Mirko, because they are having quite the skirmish right now through the infield. That is a big dive there from Mirko. He's tried that a couple of times before. It hasn't quite worked out for him, and it hasn't worked out for him once again this time. Harrison Arendt says, okay, thank you, mate. You're going to try that? I'll just go straight back on through.
A replay of this little exchange.
Oh, this is how they got into it.
Oh, close quarters racing. Yeah, Dan Mirko just grabbed the grass on the inside as he went for that big dive bomb. Got him out of shape. Did a good job to pull that car up.
Certainly did, and the battle for third is still ongoing here. These guys have been dicing this whole time. Musico still trying his best to make the outside around turn 1 work, but Caleb Bellac is indomitable right now. He's got great pace. He's actually joint most positions gained in the entire field, along with David Parrott and Greg Patrick at the moment, up 10 places. And considering his qualifying time, it's amazing to see that he's managing to hold on to third so well.
Absolutely, yeah. Hadn't picked that up before now, so that's certainly a good pickup, a good race. Whoa!
Whoa! All right.
Deferential. That looked like a crash for sure.
Wow.
Somehow they both popped out the other side.
Whew.
Turning in from the outside into the bus stop. That is risky. How did they end up like that?
Good question.
Is a replay.
So Dean Jacobson is in the orange Race on Oz Cadillac here, and Kurt Nommensen in the BMW. They were side by side on the way in, and it looks like just enough room was left, and I think some good heads-up driving from Nommensen to just back out a tiny bit, let the Race on Oz car do its thing, and they can both live to fight another lap.
we should be coming up towards some pit stops pretty soon as well. What did we say? Around 45 minutes. We've been racing now for 36.
Yes. So keep an eye out for cars on the timing tower to show pit next to their name instead of the relative gaps. It will be interesting to see who decides to blink first. I think Daniel Benefield and Tyson Broad are so far ahead of everybody at the moment that they don't really have to worry too much. And well, Simon Mazzomo certainly has to worry about getting past the number 91 of Kurt Nommensen. Remember, Kurt recently gave way to Dean Jacobson, and now he's going to have to give way to Mez as well. That's the second lap in a row he's been on the inside of the approach to the bus stop, and the second time he's decided, okay, I'm just going to let you have it, mate.
They touched.
Yeah.
Up on the oval there. That would have. I'm very surprised that wasn't an incident between those two. They got away with it. You can't often get away with side-by-side contact on iRacing.
No, certainly. But these GTPs, they have pretty flat sides, so if there is a biff at the right angle, you can make it work. This was a little bit of a biff into the runoff area for Harrison Arendt, and into the grass too. Lock up on the way into the Western Horseshoe. Easy to do. It's a curved approach to that corner, and so you want to start turning right early, but you can't afford to unload that inside front tire.
Absolutely not. I reckon, just up the road, Alex Wilson might be able to have a sniff at getting back ahead of Billy Harold, who hasn't been able to really pull away since making that move on Wilson. Tucked up into his slipstream at the moment as we approach turn 1. He's not going to go for the big dive bomb, is he? He is.
Oh.
And he somehow gets it turned at the same time. Locks up. They touch. Wilson manages to hold it tight against the apex, and Harold escapes and holds on to 6th for now. This is a nice little to and fro battle forming. And Scott Travis coming back into the equation again.
Yeah, I'm liking this too. It's awesome to see the close quarters these guys are racing at, and yeah, there has been contact, but it's not been huge, which is awesome to see. It's there's a lot of heads-up driving from these competitors today, and we'll see what Scott Travis can do to make himself an element in this fight. He's close enough to pick up the slipstream from Alex Wilson, and Billy Harold's managed to get a great exit from the infield, so he's not going to worry for a while here. But we know that Wilson has the pace to catch back up. Meanwhile, it looks like the first driver to blink on the prime strategy is Kurt Nommensen down in the field. He is in the pit lane right now in 22nd spot. So we'll see where he factors into this equation later on, as that's a poor run out of the bus stop for Alexander Wilson. And Scott Travis will easily get it done around the outside here. He's going to clear him before they even get to the finish line.
Yeah, you can't, it's the one place you can't afford to have a poor exit is from the bus stop. The flat-out portion of the racetrack that follows is about as big as anywhere on the motorsport calendar. Scott Travis makes him pay for that little mistake and gets back ahead of him, but Wilson might be betting on Travis ending up back behind him again with the rate he's going. It's been like a yo-yo up and down the order at the moment.
Yeah, and looks like the rear end is a bit of a yo-yo as well for Scott Travis. He had a big power slide on the way out of the International Horseshoe, and you see how confident Wilson is on the brakes there. He's one of the only drivers I've seen to be able to go that deep into the Western Horseshoe and still be able to pull it up without locking the front tyres.
He's been locking the tyres a lot, but he's somehow managed to pull it up, just skimming the tyre across the surface of the road, but finding the friction to slow the car down.
Oh dear, I've just seen a massive incident for Ethan Bass in the Orbit Motorsports 51. Oh, that is a huge crash, and I don't know if he requested a tow from race control before escaping off the circuit. This is what happened to him in the Acura. Just lost the rear end on the way into the corner, and then wham! Into the tyre bundles. Good avoiding action by the Porsche coming through there, but Ethan Bass, unfortunately, has that stint brought to an ignominious end.
Yeah, he didn't request a tow. That's a shame, because that certainly would have been a safety car. Would have bunched this field back up right on the pit stop window. would have been what a few of these drivers needed. So that'll be frustrating for them. But as the race wears on, patiences will get thinner. And those sorts of mistakes will continue to creep into the equation here as Greg Patrick and Dan Mirko do battle once again. We've seen this one a few times before.
Yeah, that we have. Mirko trying his best to move up the inside at the International Horseshoe, but wasn't alongside. Could not stake that corner as we get Jack Mara with the new fastest lap of the race. Mara is certainly pulling out all the stops for that one, and the pressure continues to build here as Greg Patrick ran a little wide in the corner just before this one, and it looks like Mirko has the pace. This is a fantastic little fight here, and it looks like the orange Cadillac has the pace over the purple one. Is this going to be a move into the bus stop? I don't know if that's the wisest decision at this point. Patrick is going to hold the inside line. How aggressive will Mirko be? Level into the braking zone, and he tries. Oh no, when they get to the turn-in point, Greg Patrick gets hit around. Almost. He managed to recover it and keep going, but Dan Mirko might have a penalty hanging over his head there, and he's going to self-penalize with a spin. Billy Harold and Alexander Wilson, meanwhile, have jumped into the pit lane from the final couple positions in the top 10. We'll see how quick their pit stops are. For context, Kurt Nommensen, well, he was in the pits for 1 minute and 18 seconds, so I think that wasn't a scheduled pit stop for him after all. Let's see what it's like for Wilson and for Harold.
How about these two? Musico and Caleb Ballack glued together. If they both come out of the pits, I will not be surprised to see them come out of the pits still glued together. But as you mentioned, if Musico's been able to save fuel, he might be able to jump back out ahead of Ballard. We'll see how this one plays out.
Indeed, we will.
Be surprised to see them both in this lap based on what everyone else is doing.
Yes. It looks like Musico once again has the slipstream coming out of the bus stop, and pit stops have been completed for Harold and Wilson. 48.5 seconds or thereabouts. 48.3, 48.2 as our third place battle enters the pit lane as well. Now this is going to be the moment of truth for Toby Musico. Has he saved enough fuel to be able to jump Bellac in at the stop? He had enough trouble getting past him on track. Let's see if the pit stops smile upon him.
Bellac was very committed on the brakes. He certainly wasn't slowed down as he crossed the line, but there is actually quite a big leeway in iRacing. You can get the car slowed down after the line and not get a penalty. Find out if you got away with it. As they get dropped off the jacks, a lot of people in pit lane at the moment. Bannerfield should be coming in probably this time, I'd expect, and Tyson Broad will come with him. He's pointing out to a 12.5 second lead now. Has Bannerfield over his teammate, as Jack Mara's taken the fastest lap of the race away on those fresh tyres.
Yes, actually, yeah. Only 2 laps fresher. Mara was one of the cars to pit very early on. Musico is off the jacks, so is Caleb Bellac, and it is indeed Musico who emerges ahead. Now, they've got to be careful not to get off the pit limiter too early. It's something that still catches some drivers out. The pit lane ends there. That's where you can start accelerating. In past years, it was the end of the pit lane itself, and you could take the exit road at full speed, but you do have to hold the limiter all the way around the exit of turn 2. Now, we'll see just how much Caleb Bellac's pace offers to him when he's chasing.
Oh, we got driver at pit exit.
Oh, we have. Oh, dear.
Isaac Edwards has gone for a spin.
Oh, no.
And there was contact with Harrison Aaron as well. They had 2 separate accidents, nose to tail.
They did. Isaac Edwards got off the pit limiter too early, it looks like. And Harrison Arendt, in reaction to that, it looks like didn't have the best of times either. They made further contact getting going again. That was unfortunate. Let's see how it happened here. Edwards, again, getting off the pit limit a bit too early there and gets into the wall and the grass. And you saw it just out of frame, but Arendt having a spin just behind him too. Meanwhile, our leader makes his way into the pit lane. Ewan Baker has resumed second place for the time being, but remember, Baker was the car that caused the first incident and was one of the cars to have an early pit stop, so we are expecting a stop from him in the next couple of laps. For context, Benefield has made it 29 laps on that tank of fuel.
And precisely 45 minutes as well as he dove that car into pit lane. There's a few cars coming close to going a lap down as well. Cruz Mason just came out of the pits. Jack Mara coming out of the pits as well, while Benefield is sitting stationary. Benefield won't be too far out from lapping them once he gets back out on the racetrack, but it's a long, long hold for these drivers, up around 50 seconds before they get dropped off the jacks and they can go. So Benefield should be good to go in about 3, 2, 1. There you go.
All right,
49.9.
That's one of the longer pit stops we've seen, actually. Aidan Luthwaite and Scott Travis and Jackson Austin was stopped for slightly longer, along with Greg Patrick and Jack Mara. But yeah, it's a far cry from the 48.9 to 49 second pit stops that we've seen from other drivers. Ewan Baker, right on cue, jumps back into the lane. He is definitely on an alternate strategy here. He's going to fall back down the order as Benefield and Broad have resumed the top 2 positions here, and this time the lead is blown out to over 14 seconds.
See what Benefield's rejoined right behind Simon Mizomo, who is, well, on the cusp of going a lap down. Has Mizomo made his second stop?
Let me have a look.
He must have if he's...
Yeah, he has. He's it was 1.5 laps ago for Mizomo.
So this will be interesting here to see if Mizomo can pull away from Benefield and keep himself on the lead lap of this race.
Indeed. There's the context there, down the bottom of your screen, the stint lengths for these drivers. As Baker has completed his second pit stop and will re-emerge onto the racetrack momentarily. Dean Jacobson almost at the end of his second pit stop as well. The drivers that were involved in the lap 1 incident and those that decided to pit early are now starting to enter the second phase of the strategy that they were somewhat forced into.
And still holding out for that safety car to get them back into this race. And Mizomo, this will be a really crucial moment for him. If he goes a lap down, he'll be stuck when the safety car comes out, unless he gets one of those wave around. So he needs to press on, and he'll be giving some dirty air to Benefield, so maybe it'll slow Benefield down as well. As we look elsewhere, Musico was able to jump Ballack in pit lane, and he's also put Michael Cullen between them, the laps car. And Scott Travis here is closing in on Billy Harrell for 6th place.
Yeah, this is an entertaining battle, but it might get interrupted very soon because we've just had a $150 donation from Sean McNamara, who is the manager and leader of 9-5 SimSports. He has requested a safety car. When will it come out is the big question. And when will Race Control get that message? We shall see. But for now, we'll focus on Billy Harold and his fight to stay in 6th place. Big thanks, Sean, for your massive donation. That brings us up to $780 raised.
Did you say safety car and wave around, or just safety car?
Just safety car.
I was going to say, who's the wave around? Never mind, misheard. It would have been interesting, though. So, yeah, safety car's going to really spice this up, and Mizomo probably will owe Sean McNamara a beer after this race.
Yeah, indeed. Remember, Sean McNamara is Mazomo's team boss, so there is some previous context to that, as Tyson Broad has just run a 131.422 and takes the fastest lap away. That's some stonking pace from Tyson at the moment, and there is the safety car. We are out onto track in the McLaren 720S. So let's see how this spices things up.
Lachlan Capel, the safety car driver there, has got to make sure he picks up the right car. Daniel Benefield is up on the oval at the moment, back around 1 and 2. Can you take this opportunity to pit, get some more feel on that car? Is that going to help you out at all in this race?
It might. Depends on how much time is left. I think some of the drivers would have been hoping that the safety car came out in 10 minutes time. So that would put them at an hour 30 to go, which is bang on 2 45-minute stints. So I think things are going to get a little muddled here with 1 minute and 40 remaining on the clock.
Depends how long the safety car goes for. If it's still out with an hour 30, 33-ish, you'd probably risk it coming in at the end of the window. See what plays out for you.
Oh, listen to this in 7th gear for Tyson Broad. He is clutching like mad, isn't he?
Save all that fuel.
Yeah, and why not? Daniel Benefield is coming through the International Horseshoe now, and the safety car has picked him up, so the field will now be compressed. Now, I'm wondering if they're going to do wave rounds for lapped cars behind the safety car. I haven't heard anything on that, so we shall see. But if everyone stays where they are, if race control doesn't intervene, then the drivers behind Daniel Benefield are going to have to make their way through a couple of lapped cars in the form of Dean Jacobson and Cody Metcalf. Oh no.
Okay.
Normal wave around rules, so that's all lapped cars behind the leader, I presume. And I said "oh no" because there's a very ominous message from Bo Albert, good friend of SimSpeed, in the YouTube chat. Daniel's race is going super well. I hope nothing unfortunate happens to him. What could that mean?
Well,
it sounds like Bo Albert's just donated $100, which of course is going to result in a drive-through, is it? I don't have the chart up at the moment. $100 is a drive-through penalty, so dang. Oh, okay.
No.
Alrighty then. What a good recovery. That was some Fast and the Furious stuff there. Wow. That was Aidan Luthwaite, who got absolutely slammed by Billy Harold under safety car. I think race control might have some work to do regarding that.
Yeah, they're both full pelt catching up to the queue. They caught the queue. Luthwaite slowed down, and Harold just wasn't focused, I think, on that.
Yeah.
Had nowhere to go.
Luthwaite has a black and orange flag, which means mechanical black flag. He has to come into the pits and get that car repaired. If you're unfamiliar with motorsport terms, we tend to nickname that the meatball flag because the black background and orange circle looks like a meatball, apparently. But yeah, that's obviously not ideal. Aidan Luthwaite at full pelt, as you said, and the safety car queue is just ahead of these guys, so on the brakes he gets, and the Race On Oscar just doesn't react in time. But once again, good car control to get that thing going straight again right away.
I'm just wondering when Benefield's penalty is applied, because I mean we're currently under safety car.
Yeah, a drive-through penalty under safety car wouldn't make much sense because it wouldn't be the disadvantage that it otherwise would be. As the view on board with Billy Harold, we'll see what it was like for him. And I mean, you could see the cars ahead.
Yeah. In car, it's a little bit trickier in car. I went back and looked at it. The cockpit in these GTPs isn't the most visually pleasing. That's not the right word. It's not the easiest to see out of these things, especially around the corners. There's a really fat A-pillar, at least in my field of view, right where those cars would have been. So, yeah, but
fair.
That penalty for Benefield, presumably he can't serve that under safety car, so he'll have to serve it after the restart when the field is extremely compressed. So he's not going to lose 1 or 2 spots. He's going to lose all of the spots and have a lot of cars to pass.
Yeah, indeed he is. I'm wondering if it's going to be like on the restart or after a lap of racing has been completed. That's another little wrinkle we'll have to keep track of. But regardless, we have to say a huge thank you to Bo Albert for the $100 donation. And that will go, of course, to a good cause. If you recently just joined us, we are racing in support of Cure Cancer. Australian charity, and it's a pretty self-explanatory name. We are fighting for a cure to cancer. Every single dollar counts, and a big thanks to Aussie Online Gaming and Motorsport Australia for putting this event on and making it for such a good cause.
Absolutely important to support these causes in any way we can, and a great evening of racing on the sim. Absolutely a good way to get behind it. And some charitable donations from the likes of Bo Albert, Sean McNamara as well so far on this one. Affecting the outcome of a race by sitting at home and paying someone some money. That's what we like to see.
Absolutely. And of course, the money is going to something good. Finding a cure for cancer. That's going to bring our total money raised to 880 Australian dollars. Remember, our full goal is 1,500. And once we reach the $1,000 mark, that's going to be something to celebrate as well, as the wave arounds are now happening. All the lapped cars behind the safety car are going to come back around to the rear of the queue. And it looks like that is going to Cody Metcalf is 2 laps down, 4 or thereabouts. So unfortunately, he won't get a wave around. But everyone who was a lap down is now back on the lead lap.
And Simon Mizomo, crucially, kept himself in front of Daniel Benefield, gets to start ahead of everyone else that was a lap down because he kept himself on the lead lap. He'll be 18th there, but we saw he's got great pace and is probably going to be factor at the end of this one. I mean, based on the fact that he's got to come through the field just like Benefield does. Tyson Broad now becomes the favourite. He's got great pace, fastest lap of the race. It was about 13 seconds behind Benefield when that safety car was called, but he had about, well, it must have been 15 or 20 on Musiko and Balak behind. So Broad will be licking his lips at the moment. We'll see what Musiko can do now that he's finally cleared himself of that big yellow mobile of Caleb Balak.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here. See what Toby Musico can do. Remember, the field is quite jumbled right now. Cruz Mason, Simon Mizomo, Ewan Baker, and Jack Mara, they all started in the top 6. And, of course, they were involved in the lap 1 incident coming out of the bus stop. So they are very off at the moment in terms of position, but they still have plenty of time to fight their way through. We have an hour and 31 minutes remaining on the clock here, and there is a lot of potential for another safety car. With the waiver rounds complete, I would presume that the safety car is in this lap, and looking at the in sim chat. It is race control confirming that the safety car will pull into the pit lane coming out of the bus stop this time. And then we'll see how long it takes to issue Daniel Benefield that drive-through penalty purchased by Bo Albert.
I wonder if anyone's told him he's going to get one.
Yeah.
He's about to get a very rude shock.
Yeah, I wonder too. If he has the stream on in the background, as some drivers do, he'll probably be aware of it by now. But yeah, otherwise it'll be a very nasty surprise.
For the restart here, if you're Daniel Benefield, I'm guessing that the strategy is going to be to wait as long as possible, because the earlier you go, the bigger opportunity you're giving to the cars behind to slingshot past you. So just listened in to Benefield, querying the safety car restart procedures, getting the confirmation that the safety car is pulling away at the end of the chicane here. Yeah, you probably want to leave it as late as possible, don't you?
Yeah, I would say so. Well, let's see then, as we bring ourselves into the bus stop for the final time under this safety car period, who gets the best run here? I would presume it is Benefield, and he'll try and take maximum advantage of that. As the safety car pulls away from the field, Lachlan Capel will bring it into the pits now, and maintaining safety car speed is Daniel Benefield, about 82, 83 kilometers per hour as we go for our single file restart.
Nothing short of an absolute crawl here. It was Belak. Checks up the field there from P4 on back. Don't be doing that. It'll cause a big concertina further down the order.
Oh yeah, it is. Absolutely.
That's how traffic jams start on the highway, folks.
Yeah, very true. So how long does Daniel Benefield leave it here until he gets things going again? Right by the pit entry lane. And we are away. The Drop Bear cars coordinating their start beautifully. Toby Musico, meanwhile, facing off against Caleb Belak for not the first time tonight. And Belak already piling on the aggression here. Very late on the brakes into turn one, but Musico gets the better exit. And a little flash of the headlights as well, just to let him know that he's nowhere near done with this battle for what is going to be second after Benefield gets his penalty. Musico, yeah, I saw that too. Big slide coming out of the horseshoe.
Nothing could possibly be more frustrating for Musico here than if he loses this spot immediately to Belak. And he's going to! He got forced into the error. All the pressure he put onto Belak that Belak sustained for 30-odd laps. He receives 3 corners of it in return and immediately succumbs.
Yeah, that's a real shame there for Musico. He's going to have to do all of that work all over again as we keep our eye here on the 34 of Ewan Baker. He's running down the order right now in 16th place, and it's going to be 17th in a moment, because look at the run Aidan Luthwaite has on him. And, well, I don't think he's going to be able to get it done around the outside of the bus stop this time around. I know how skilled of a driver Ewan Baker is. He's certainly got the pace here, and he's got the confidence for the run into the bus stop chicane.
There was very ambitious people into the chicane. A few overtakes being made. Isaac Edwards got by Aaron, who was very slow through the chicane as a result. Mizama had to slam on the brakes. Mirko almost rear-ended him, and just an almighty check-up, and we saw one car fitting in the wall as a result. At the very back is Musico finally on the inside of Belak at turn 1.
Can he clear him? He can. Oh, but Belak is going to have another go here. On the inside of the horseshoe, Musico has to leave him room. What a fight this is between these two. Now Musico will have the inside line for the next corner.
This will be tight. The track narrows up here.
Oh, Belak was brave on the brakes last lap, and he is once more here. Musico this time does not run too wide, but he does allow... Oh, look at Belak. That's fantastic car control there. That could easily have been a spin. They're keeping each other in very close quarters. Belak now has to reassess, has to decide when to make the move.
I feel has just been informed of this penalty. He didn't take it very well.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, the donation message for Bo was, "I love you. Please don't hurt me. Now go get him."
Actually, I think based off Benefield's response, he thought it was his girlfriend. And then
Oh, really?
He took it back 10 seconds later and said, "No, it wasn't. Sorry."
Problem for the 77 of Greg Patrick there, going deep into the first turn. Meanwhile, here comes Caleb Bellack as Daniel Benefield moves into the lane. There's that battle. Look at him flash by in the background. Musico this time has the advantage, and he will defend the inside of turn 1, but he runs a little deep. Oh, picks up the throttle and parks it in front of Bellack. Cannot find a way through. Defensive once again into the International Horseshoe, and look who's drawing up on them here. Scott Travis, who somehow found himself in P4. And with the battling going on here, this could be a three-way fight for second.
Big dive, switching to the inside from Ballack.
Oh,
How's the aggression levels? There's an hour and a half left to go. Ballack gets back ahead. Tyson Broad will be loving this in his mirror. He'll pull away out front. Might need Bo Albert to give him a penalty as well. As Mizuko gets a little sideways back up onto the oval. Battle well and truly alive. 3 cars fighting for second here. As Benefield has taken his penalty and rejoined.
yes,
Down
indeed.
in 21st. 20th.
Yeah, it's going to be a big fight there for Daniel Benefield. 20th place out of 23 cars still running. There was a question from Adam Briggs some time ago about what the mix of brands is, and I can tell you there are 12 Cadillacs, 8 Porsches, 2 BMWs, and 2 Acuras, one of which is no longer running. So there's your field spread.
When it rains, it pours for Daniel Benefield, who's just been given a bus stop and go as well.
Oh my God, yep, the bus stop and go penalty. That's the first one of the race. That is a donation that means you must come to a stop at the bus stop chicane. And that was from...
I think.
Yeah, Seb Flock with a $50 donation.
Daniel Benefield single-handedly contributing a lot to this fantastic course tonight by being too fast.
Absolutely. Oh man. Yeah, the donation message with that was don't take out the McLaren next time. Kiss kiss. Not too sure what that's referring to, but regardless,
there's a backstory there somewhere.
Yeah, certainly is. So thank you very much for your generosity, Seb Flock. That is another $50 towards the donation goal. That is magnificent, and that's going to put us over $900 donated to this event so far. And we still have an hour and 22 to go. Plenty of time to get your donations in. It'll come up on the ticker in a few moments' time. There is a Tiltify URL you can go to, and you can donate there. Meanwhile, the fight.
Musico, you can't go down there. You can't go down there, Musico.
God. Oh, easy does it. He does lift off.
He forced his way down below the yellow line. Don't know how he did not turn Ballack around. And eventually, as you pointed out, has backed out of it. But yeah, I'm not sure you can do that.
I'm fairly certain that on the road course configuration of Daytona, you are allowed to run under the apron in the tri-oval. But Ewan Baker is going to take our attention away from that discussion with a spin at the first turn, and it's involved one of the Porsches as well.
Two of them have gone off. Harris and Aaron, and I didn't see who the second one was.
Wow.
It's all going off here.
Looks like
Chris
it was...
Mason's in the action as well here, making contact with Wilson.
All right, replay on the bottom of your screen as that's the pass, or the attempted pass there for Toby Musico. And Caleb Bellack, though, on the racing surface, a little bit more of a flat transition into turn 1, so it all works out there. Looks like the car that had the massive slide into the grass was Cody Metcalf. We'll see what happened to Ewan Baker first, and then we'll see what happened behind him.
Around.
Oh, no. Okay, it's all going off here. I think we've entered our phase of incidents happening while we're looking at replays. So Ewan Baker gets off to a clean start there, but then in comes the Porsche and just catches the grass. And meanwhile behind, Cody Metcalf just goes way over the grass.
Wilson, here we go. 2 into the bus stop. And there's... Our luck finally run out with 2 into the bus stop. Wilson just tried to carry too much speed to get clear and couldn't hang on with that rear end. Big damage to the back of his car. He'll come to pit road here. And confirmation from race control that the tri-oval apron is off limits until the end of the final lap.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for the clarification, race control. That's another car spun off there. That's the 91 of Kurt Nommensen. It looks like the opening turns here are claiming quite a few victims in the middle phase of this race.
It's that time of the night, is it? This Benefield goes purple out there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good lap there. 131.33.
It's only 24 seconds off the lead, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I think keeping an eye on lap times here. Tyson Broad setting 132.2 on the previous lap. So it's still a good gain there from Benefield. If he's 20-something seconds off the lead now, there's still plenty of time for him to gain that back on pace alone. But, I mean, I might have just cursed him there and encouraged another donation for him.
There's a car off the road at pit exit. It's Kurt Nommensen.
Oh, yes. Could be a safety car here, a natural safety car, as opposed to the manufactured paid-for ones. Nommensen, we did see him in the wall at turn 1, and he was already carrying some damage by the time he went in there and tapped the tyre bundles. I'm not too sure where he picked that damage up, but safety car has been called.
And Simon Mizomo has been working his way through the field very well. He's up to 7th. He'll be on the tail of the leaders with this restart. Mizomo, suddenly, it's all going right for him. Sounds like he needs a penalty.
Yes. Indeed. This will give Daniel Benefield a little bit more of a fighting chance to get back up the field as well. It'll bunch the field up. Kurt Nommensen does have a mechanical black flag, and that is the reason why he has stopped. That car is too damaged to continue. We shall see how all of that works. Now, Scott Jordison raising a point in the broadcast chat that we actually haven't mentioned yet. Next Level Racing has provided a huge amount of support to this event by providing prizes. We'll get a Next Level Racing cockpit for the winner of the race. As we look at this on board of Nommensen, let's see how he went into turn 1 here. Just gets on the brakes, but unfortunately the front end gets away from him, and then the rear, and then just the slightest of bumps into the tyre bundles. That was enough to cause a mechanical black flag. But there are 2 Next Level Racing cockpits up for grabs here. One for the winner of the event, and then the second a random draw. Now, the question is that random draw going to be a part of the stream or not? I cannot answer that question right now, but we will work on providing one to you.
A few people coming into pit lane as well with all this going on. 45 minutes to a tank, an hour and 17 to go. Seems like a good time to get on down there. Kurt Nommensen is stopped, I should say. Benefield, Broad, Harold. Roughly about half of the top 10 have come in there.
Yeah, interesting. I think, well, with it being an hour and 15 to go, that should result in 2 shorter full fuel stints to the end of the race. So keep an eye out for the likes of Benefield, Mizomo, Travis, Mason, Harold. They will all likely come back into the pits in about 45 minutes time, maybe even 35 minutes time. We'll have to wait and see.
I've just witnessed something that I... Craig Patrick, Michael Cullen, and Harrison Arendt have all had a crash under safety car.
Yeah, righto. Michael Cullen. So we'll... And he's gotten a mechanical black flag from this.
Yeah, so Patrick had spun up ahead. Cullen's come around and I suppose hit the brakes mid-corner, sent him into a spin. Patrick's spin, he'd been hit by Harrison Arendt from behind and sent Patrick into Rory Wilson.
Well, that is a big ouchie, unfortunately. And not the first that we've seen in this race. Okay, and we can also confirm this is actually big news. Tyson Broad, a penalty issued by iRacing for speeding in the pit lane. That is has absolutely ruined Drop Bear's chances, for the time being at least.
Well, Caleb Ballack leads the race.
He does. And that means that, well, considering how Caleb Bellack and Toby Musico have been battling over the course of this race, this time it's going to be for the lead. And what a fight it hopefully will be, touch wood. I don't want to curse them out of a fight. And Kurt Normanson jumping into the YouTube chat to confirm that the tyres were just too broken to turn around the corners, which is unfortunate indeed. But commiserations, Kurt. Hopefully you can get back out on the track and see the checkered flag. And we obviously thank you for your participation in this event. But this is the situation right now. Caleb Bellack and Toby Musico are going to be fighting for the lead of this race once they make their way to the end of the safety car period. And remember, they are two of the cars that have not decided to pit under this safety car period. They have stayed out. They will be obviously saving a lot of fuel under this safety car period, which might very well bring them a bit closer to the 45 minutes to go mark that you need to make it to in order to be able to finish the race. Many factors to consider as the drivers are desperately trying to warm up their tyres here in these very cold conditions. The track has actually fallen in temperature by 1 degree. It is now at 18 Celsius as we see Harrison Arendt making his way through the pit lane. There's the weather chart. Not much to see other than the yellow line going down slightly.
Sorry, I'm just filling out some checks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. we might... Oh, man. We do have another new donation. We will highlight that right now from BE Electrical and Solar. $15 donation to watch Isaac Edwards for a lap. And we also have Caleb Bellack's lap to focus on. He requested lap 43. It is now lap 44. But of course, we want to make it a racing lap that we take a look at. So we shall see from all possible views, Caleb Bellack taking this restart with Toby Musico chasing behind. Don't forget David Parrott either in the 888 Porsche. He might be a factor in it too, depending on what happens. You can't count out Jackson Austin either in 4th place.
No, it's going to be very interesting. Final half of this race, and I dare say a few donations still to roll in to various people.
Hint, hint. I can't wait to see what you've cooked up for us there, Ryan. And I hear Jay Kennedy laughing in the background. Anonymous one coming in. And there's a few coming in. We are $5 away from hitting the 1K mark. That's amazing. Huge outpouring of support in the last few minutes. Big thanks to all of you. We'll go through them once we've gotten this race back up to a rhythm restart. Scott Jordison asking how much not to focus on Caleb lap 43. I think that moment has passed, because here we are focusing on Caleb Bellac for the restart. Let's see how he tackles a lap around Daytona, being chased by his rival from the very start of this event. Toby Musico is actually making up a lot of time in the braking zone there, but Bellac will be able to get the better exit here and try and stake his claim to lead a lap here at Daytona.
Oh, big moves behind them. Aiden Luthwaite diving up the inside of the Race Noz entry of Jackson Austin, and can't quite complete the maneuver out of the horseshoe, but he's got to get the momentum and clear him into the King. Austin's got to be careful because Jack Mara's right there as well. Big battle for P5. Mara's diving. There's a move up at the front here. Musico's got to run on Caleb Bellac. He's alongside him on the right and back up towards the oval. Gets the crisscross here and might get up the inside, but Bellac just parks it at the apex.
Well done there from Bellac, and oh my goodness, jeez, that was a massive wiggle there for the number 43, but unfortunately Musico was too close to take advantage of it. He had to back out of it himself. Meanwhile, this is the back stretch, and Musico has the lead coming into the bus stop, but Bellac is going to fight it side by side. Musico goes into the grass, and look at that, into the grass as well for David John Parrott. They're both going to get slowdowns from that. That means Aiden Luthwaite is going to get second place out of this.
Oh, Bellac was so far off the road as well. I'll be shocked if he didn't get a slowdown too. Luthwaite might be the box seat here. Ballac's moving up the racetrack. Austin, Luthwaite, Barrett, Bellac, 4 cars, 5 cars. They're all under a blanket in towards turn number 1. An hour and 9 minutes to go.
This is awesome. I love this. Absolutely fantastic. And look at the fighting here. That's very deep from Aiden Luthwaite. He gives David Parrott a little bump coming through the international horseshoe. And fighting desperately to keep the position is Toby Musico. He might have to yield to Jackson Austin in car number 41. All of this dicing is giving Bellac the exact advantage he needs.
And a bus stop and go for Cruiser Mason has been issued from BE Electrical and Solar. You're welcome, they said.
That's from his own team, so I think that gives you a bit of an insight into the team culture at Race on Oz. Oh dear, it's all for a good cause. Look at the fighting here, coming off the NASCAR 1 and 2. There's some very interesting fighting going on here. All the cars have settled down, and he's going to be serving that one as Cruz Mason stops and goes at the bus stop, picking up the kids to take them to school. Let's keep an eye on Aiden Luthwaite here, because he's actually starting to gain here on Caleb Bellac.
Pace has picked up at the front of this field. Some drivers giving an opportunity at the front they didn't think they'd have. Some unfortunate penalties have opened this race up massively.
That they have, and fantastic to see. This is a very entertaining race so far, and I have just had a brainwave. We have hit $1,000 donated, by the way. A huge thanks to everyone for your generosity. It's amazing to see the community come together like this for such a great cause as finding a cure for cancer. The top 3 have really compressed. Musico is starting to come back on Aiden Luthwaite and Caleb Bellac, who I've just realized Bellac is Caleb backwards. So, yeah, I've seen plenty of races with Caleb Bellac in them, and it's taken me that long to realize it. So I get the dunce cap for today.
Donneris. Nothing. Oh, I thought I heard a crash. It's just the sound of the cars bottoming it out over the bumps and through the curbs at the bus stop as Musico draws alongside Luthwaite. Nothing gets people more up and about, willing to donate, than the opportunity to ruin someone's race.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
Schadenfreude. Of course, the Germans have a word for that, don't they? Speaking of Germans, the German car of Toby Musico trying around the outside of Aiden Luthwaite at turn 1. There is a bit more, there is a bit more rubber down there now than there was at the start of the race. So you can hold the outside if you want, but I think Toby's just waiting for that opportunity. Meanwhile, here is the focus lap for Isaac Edwards, purchased by BE Electrical. Isaac Edwards is, I would call him an Aussie sim racing veteran by now. He's been racing for years and races karts in real life on occasion, and has certainly been present in many a SimSpeed broadcast over the years.
Absolutely, raced with Isaac a fair bit as well myself. He's works very hard for his sim racing, does Isaac?
Absolutely does. He races a lot, and he's been one of the most active at Race on Oz. So I have to say, shout out to Isaac for all of the effort that you've put in over the years, and it's fantastic to see him running in the top 10. Meanwhile, you see just ahead of him there at the very top of the screen, they're vanishing out of the frame. It's the top 3. They are fighting, and it looks like Caleb Bellac is going to have a two-pronged attack here from Luthwaite and Musico. They are together coming across the line. Bellac is going to defend coming into turn 1. And Musico, oh no! Bellac spinning at turn 1, and that takes out Luthwaite as well. The race has turned on its head.
Oh, you knew something was brewing there. It was all coming to a head, and impatient drivers with an hour to go, as it turns out, it's left them down the order. But the way this race is going, absolutely not out of it.
No, certainly. A donation could certainly turn things around there. Replay on the bottom of your screen right now. There was no contact. Bellac, unfortunately, I think just compression locking on the downshift, and around he went. Could have hit a bump as well, which wouldn't have helped. And it's unfortunate for Luthwaite as well. He had nothing to do with that, just had nowhere to go.
So it leaves the Musico out the front. Jack Mara is up to 2nd. David John Parrott, 3rd.
Parrott is up 15 places, by the way.
About it. I was just seeing that.
That's amazing there from the 888. He's been a constant presence in the top 10 and around the midfield, but we haven't talked about him all that much. He's going to get his moment in the sun very soon, I'm sure. We keep our eye here on the stint lengths. You can see that Musico is just about going to come back into the pits for his 2nd stop of the race. Ooh. All right. Easy does it. Everybody coming through turn 1.
Luthwaite's in.
Yeah, he is, and that would be for damage, I would imagine. And meanwhile, trouble for Daniel Benefield. Looks like, well, this isn't the first time he's had internet issues, and it looks like they might have cost him his race entirely here. He's still grayed out on my timing screen, and I think we might get the dreaded "received throughput fell to unacceptable level" message in Sim. That's such a shame for Daniel Benefield. At least we managed to get some good donations out of him, but far and away the fastest man on track tonight, unfortunately, will not continue from here. Meanwhile, we have news from Race Control. Harrison Arendt in car 35 being given a black flag for contact under safety car with car 7.
Cullen? Yeah, that's when Michael Cullen had to check up and spin as well.
Yes.
Saw that one through the kink. Picking up Mizomo, making a move on Isaac Edwards. This is for a move for 6th place. Mizomo gets ever closer to the lead of the race. Be a great story to see him get there.
Certainly would, and it would be the ultimate Shakespearean tragedy to have a donation come through to give him a stop and go right as he does it. But
no one would do that, would they?
Oh, I wouldn't put anything past anyone. Mizomo currently running lovely here and catching up to Jackson Austin in the Race on Oz number 41. Mizomo's looking supremely in control of that 9.5 SimSports Porsche. Meanwhile, driver we haven't talked about in a while, Ewan Baker, he's currently catching up to David Parrott to pass for third.
Yeah, Ewan Baker is quite far. I'm looking at the lap times now. 31.7 for Mizuko. He's flying out there. 32.1 for Jack Barrett. 32.4 for Parrott. 32.5 for Baker. 32.4 for Austin. 33.1 for Mizomo. Hasn't quite got the speed at the moment, but he's having to pass a few cars as Baker looks to the outside of Parrott. We've seen this many a times before in this race. That outside line, very hard to get it done around there, and Baker can't. On this occasion, Parrott does well to hold that car to the inside line.
Yeah, good job from Parrott to be defending. Ewan Baker does have a slight disadvantage. He has a little bit of a heavier car. He has been out there for less time as Tyson Broad tries to make up a position. Broad siding one of the Race on Oz cars, and actually, it's Isaac Edwards who's lost his front end, and it looks like Tyson has lost his rear wing as well. So both cars coming away with major damage from that.
They should both have a spare car left, a fast repair available left to them, but it'll put a damper on both their races. Just Broad. I don't know if he misjudged her, if Edwards moved. Hard to tell from that angle. Then the secondary contact on the exit. It's just rub salt in the wound.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a darkly funny moment when you see the lights of the headlights just vanish as the front end dropped off Isaac Edwards' car. He's going to have to bring that one in. It is dangerous, of course, to be running at night with no headlights, as I'm sure any person with half a brain would realize. So we'll see both of them likely come into the pits here and get a fast repair if they have one still available. Here's an aerial view of what went on. Broad going for the inside here. It looks like he was caught out by Edwards and made the dive. And oh man, there was actually 3 instances of contact through the one corner there.
It's racing Oz cars. Isaac Edwards is stuck out there as he gets done around the outside by his teammate. That'll be Cruz Mason or Dean Jacobson. It was Dean Jacobson. There's actually 3 racing Oz cars in a row on the racetrack now.
Yeah. Running well as a team, it seems, but I would expect Isaac to make his way back into the pits very shortly for that. Tyson Broad, meanwhile, has pitted to repair the damage, and I will check to see if he's used a fast repair. So he's immediately back out there and with a fresh car for good measure. We also have...
It doesn't seem to be slowing Isaac down at all. He's paving his way pretty nicely. Good lighting system at Daytona, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Daytona 24 has been run pretty consistently since the 1960s, so they've had plenty of time to work out the lighting around this track. We have had more donations come in. Another drunk Aussie has donated $50 for a bus stop and go for Toby Musico.
Oh no.
Yeah, so the race leader once again is a victim.
Just vicing it up. And Philip Vella as well has donated $50, but no message. So Vella, let us know who's the unlucky victim for your bus stop and go.
Indeed. Sean McNamara with another $15. Mez Only Cams. That's right now, what we're looking at here, focusing on Simon Mazzomo for a lap as he tries to break into the top 4 here with the 2 cars ahead of him. Jackson Austin in the orange Race on Oz. Just ahead, David Parrott in the Porsche, still with the most positions gained in the field as of right now, up 14 places, with Ewan Baker recently making his way past.
I'm just keeping an eye on Musico now to see if he takes the stop and go, and he will take it this lap. It's actually pretty tough there. There's a very small opening between 2 tyre bundles at the bus stop chicane, and then you're coming from a standstill, so your run all the way to the start-finish line is destroyed. You can see him rejoining just in front of Parrott there, who will pull out to the top of the racetrack. Seeing that from on board with Mazzomo, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. Just up ahead. Looks like Musico is not going to lose any more positions from that. He has fallen down to 4th place. He's going to immediately try and take that one back up the inside of Parrott as Mazzomo has to move to the outside so as not to run into Jackson Austin. So this is going to be a fight for at least a few corners. Then we have to wait and see if Toby will be able to get the pace back on. Look at that, Mazzomo up the inside of Austin. That was a bit of a late dive, wasn't it?
He'll get it done too. He'll have the inside for the next braking zone, and Austin, in fact, lifts off before they get to the kink, allows Mazzomo through up to 5th place. It looks like Mazzomo and Musico are very evenly matched on pace as well, so it'll be very interesting now that they're close together on the racetrack. And Jack Mara has the lead of the race, just 5 seconds up the road from this battle.
And it looks like Jack Mara and Ewan Baker are on the same strategy right now. They've done 20 laps completed for Mara, 21 completed for Baker right now. So look for them to jump into the pits in the next 7 laps to 8 laps. And Jack Mara getting the slight benefit of a second stop under that safety car too. So a lot to think about coming up to the last hour of this race.
I'm just thinking, while Benefield's all by himself, we should probably have a chat to him and see what his thoughts are on how much people seem to love him and made his race a living hell.
Indeed.
Drag him on up here to the commentary box. Where is he? There he is. I can't drag him. Someone else do it.
All right.
There you go.
Jay got it.
Mr. Daniel Benefield. It seems you're a very popular person out there.
Yes. Unfortunately, my PC decided to have the last laugh in the end.
Maybe it was the ultimate donation. Up until that point, is your race your race is going pretty well? Seems to be the fastest car out there.
Yeah. Look, it's not going great at the moment.
You never know. A safety car can bring you back in and the wave round. You're only 1 lap down. In terms of strategy, have you got much of a gauge on what the strategy is going to look like from here for those guys up the front especially?
I think it's interesting actually, because I think the guys that stayed out under that last safety car can almost make it a 1 stop, whereas the guys that pitted, myself included, I had nothing to lose anyway. I think I worked out the max number. I think I actually gained spots, but the max I could have lost was 3. But the guys that stopped are definitely going to be able to make 1 more to the end from that safety car. It's going to come down to whether the guys that stayed out or not can do it on 1 more as well, because it was pretty tight based on my calculations in the car at the time.
We've seen a lot of incidents happening on corner exits tonight. People losing the rear end. Is that a particular area of instability in these cars, trying to get that traction down?
These cars are kind of interesting. Like, they'll grip, and then they get to the point where they just say, I don't want to grip anymore, and they loop it. It's quite a fine line, but when you get right on it, you can really dance the car almost on the throttle. It's quite satisfying when you get it right.
Thanks for chatting to us again, Dan. Hopefully we get a safety car and you can get a wave around and get back in amongst the action. But at the very least, thank you for being so fast that you forced people to donate to make the race open up for the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, hopefully, the sooner the better. The more time I can get to go to the end, or the more time I have on the lead lap towards the end, the better.
Thank you, mate. Daniel Benefield there having a bit of a lonely race at the moment, but you never know. Safety car could bring him right back into the picture.
Yeah, certainly could. As we see Ewan Baker serving a bus stop and go here that was purchased from Bo Albert brackets Smurf account, saying, "You're driving too fast. Please take this temporary rest break."
Very thoughtful of them, actually. It's Mizomo making a move on Parrot here. Whoa!
Oh my! We just got two $250 donations in a row.
What do they get you?
They get you a safety car and a wave around for the car of your choice. That is ridiculous. And
as long as they're not both giving away for rounds of Benefield, because that'll put them a lap up.
Well, one of them has not specified which driver they want to wave around, but I can tell you that Bo Albert has given a wave around to Daniel Benefield.
Oh.
Oh no.
Well, that safety car should be coming out pretty soon then. If there's two safety cars, that means.
So let me just paint this for you. We have now smashed our donation goal. It was $1,500. Donation totals now 1,675 Aussie dollar dues. And Danny's World is the other $250 dono. Thank you very much, and has requested that it be for Daniel Benefield. So Ryan, your day has been ruined. That's 2 waiver rounds for Daniel Benefield. Someone's gonna have to give him a drive-through now just to equalize it. And that's the first safety car called.
I'm starting to feel like bringing him into the commentary box and alerting the world to his situation was a tactical error.
Yes, potentially.
A little pissed off happening, though. Everyone's taking this opportunity to pit because it's just about inside the pit window. It's close enough, says Simon Mizomo and Jack Mara from the top 2 spots on the field, and they've dragged everyone except Alexander Wilson with them.
That they have, and this is nice. Turns out Danny is Daniel Benefield's girlfriend, I believe. Says, "Gotta support my love" in the YouTube chat. If I am wrong about that assertion, then I will certainly take the L there. So. That's Ewan Baker in the pits. That's Jack Mara in the pits. Mizomo, Mason. We have Jacobson, Bellac, Austin, and Wilson also in there too. Scott Travis has just completed his pit stop. Only 28.9 seconds in the box there. He's going to re-emerge in 5th place. And I am happy to be informed that I am not wrong. Danny is Mr. Benefield's girlfriend, so looks like relationship goals right there.
Well, I'm just wondering how this will work if we have 2 safety cars, or if we're going to give them both to him now. I would quite like to see Mizomo get to the lead of the race.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to work. Like, do they... I mean, it's 2 separate donations of a safety car and a wave around. So, my thinking would be that it's... Yeah, my thinking would be that they're done separately. Yeah, okay, confirmed, yes. And... that has also reached our maximum limit of safety cars as well. So you can donate as much as you like, but you won't be able to buy a safety car anymore. Regardless, we We have to give a huge thanks to everyone who has opened their wallets tonight for the Motorsport Australia Esports DriveOnCancer. Of course, a big thanks to the partner, Next Level Racing, as well, for providing prizes. Remember, it's Next Level Racing cockpit for the race winner and for another randomly drawn driver. So, big thanks to Next Level Racing for supporting this event as well. I'm still amazed that we still have 45 minutes to go in this race, and we have reached our donation goal. And into the pits now comes Alexander Wilson, Michael Cullen, and Harrison Arendt, who were in the top three. Jack Mara will filter back through to the lead of the race.
The top two, Jack Mara and Simon Mizomo. Going to be an interesting race here off the restart. In fact, Scott Travis is in between them as well. So these three drivers who haven't really factored at the front all race have suddenly found themselves in prime position for now until the second safety car comes out.
Daniel Benefield has been given his wave around as well. He's just making his way out of the infield, just for context.
It's not to say that Benefield couldn't still receive another drive-through.
No, certainly not.
He'd probably need two to give up a lap, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
Two or
I would
three.
think so. Well, he's back on the lead lap. And the next safety car and wave around will give him that lap over the rest of the field. So
we can't out-complain. We absolutely can't complain because it's going to an amazing cause, isn't it, Reece? So
yes, absolutely.
If we must live with Benefield being a lap up, so be it.
Yeah, and if there are people who can't live with Benefield being a lap up on everyone, donate. Put him back down.
Take him out. No, don't do that.
Cut the tall poppy. He's jumped into the pits, has Benefield. Interesting. Probably going to just top up the tank a little bit. Jay asks, and Sebastian asks as well, how much donation for Jay to do a lap? Well, I mean, obviously his controller is dedicated to working cameras at the moment. So, what kind of price would you put on that, Ryan?
Sorry, race controller talking. I didn't catch what you said there.
All righto. How much do you think would justify Jay doing a lap?
I think it would cause a lot of chaos. So,
I mean, he's not in the server as a driver, so it wouldn't affect the race. He'd be ghost driving.
I did see a suggestion to get. I did see a suggestion to. I did see a suggestion that the safety car should do a hot lap.
Safety car, yeah, I did see that earlier, yeah. And if someone donates right now, we will do a lap of the stream in black and white. We'll do some retro visions. So
do we have to talk in retro voices?
I would certainly be up for that. I've got a pretty good 1950s Australian English commentator voice that I haven't brought out in a while.
Really?
I have. Actually, I'm going to call it $20 donation, and I will talk for 5 minutes in a retro commentator voice. How about that?
And Jay with you, because Jay is, of course, the retro commentator.
Olden, oh my god, yeah. The Jay is old jokes never get old.
It's been at least a year.
Certainly has. Oh, well, we're about to get this restart going here. We've got a lap to go here under safety car, I believe, as Tyson Broad has jumped into the pit lane. So has Billy Harold. They have they're just making their way out now. And that is ahead of the safety car queue, it seems. No, actually, no. They're still making their way to the end of the pit lane. My apologies. So, yeah, we're going to have to get back into race mode in a second. Or actually, that's a question here. How long will Race Control leave it to execute the second safety car for that second donation? Would they let them race for a lap and call it back out?
15 minutes to go. Give us a 5-minute window and then 10-minute sprint to the end.
I'd be up for that.
40 minutes to go at the moment in this one. We have currently tipped $1,675 towards the Cure Cancer cause, which is outstanding. If you make that 1,695, Reese will talk in a retro voice for, what was it, 35 minutes?
No, only 5. I couldn't keep it up for 35 minutes. No way. Rochelle Jensen in the YouTube chat. The link for donations is pinned in the YouTube chat. So we shall see whether or not that comes back in. And there's also been another link dropped in the chat to the donation page. Thanks very much once again, everybody, for your support. Under 40 minutes to go here in the Motorsport Australia Drive on Cancer here at Daytona. And safety car lights are out. This is going to be a restart here. Actually, is it? I think no. No, they haven't seen safety car in this lap. They're still working out whether they do a second safety car or not. So, get on that, Race Control.
I'd say the safety car's been long enough to camp for 2. Let's send him racing.
Has Daniel Benefield been given his second wave around? Right, so a $40 donation has just been done for Retro Comms, and just in time, the broadcast is black and white. My time starts now. And here we are once again at the Daytona International Speedway, waiting for the safety car to make its way around the banking here at the magnificent Daytona International Speedway. My name is Reese Gardner. Ryan Jones is with me in the commentary box. And I really hope that Race Control get their proverbial together, Ryan, because we are waiting for confirmation on whether or not this safety car is extended or we do a second one.
I've got nothing. I've got no retro voice. It's all you. It's all you, Reese.
Yes, that was the intention. So we will have to wait and see how long I can keep this up, whether or not I can come up with witty banter on the fly while maintaining this accent. I do enjoy the GTP machinery, Mr. Jones. Some fantastic machinery out there indeed, led by the Porsche 963 of Jack Mara in the number 6. Jay Kennedy putting on the VHS filter, which is a bit out of touch with my retro commentator voice. So we'll have to wait, and I'm really struggling here, Ryan. Please say something.
You did this to yourself.
I did this to myself, indeed.
We could have been racing.
Yes, it is indeed unfortunate that we got this donation at a time when we were touring around under safety car. No changes for position. Absolutely zero action happening on the racetrack at this present moment. Although I do see some technical issues emerging for Jack Mara, vanishing off the racetrack.
Oh. Have you done a video on Daytona? Surely you've got plenty of historical facts about this place?
I do have a few historical facts about Daytona, one of which I did do a video focusing on Daytona, but it was part of my short-lived How to Ruin a Racetrack series. And In it, I noticed that there was a duplicate bus stop chicane built on the back straight for some time, and I could never quite work out what it was for. Another fact is that turn 1, the present configuration of the start of the infield was actually different for quite some time. Instead of a little S-bend after the first corner of this track, there was a straight line on the way to a wider international horseshoe hairpin. When was the Ferris wheel installed? I have absolutely no idea. And Jake Kennedy bringing up the new fandangled machine known as the Google to bring us confirmation of that fact. And Bo Albert, 2009 is apparently the year that the Ferris wheel was installed. That's a bit after my time. I'm coming straight out of the 1950s here. As we are hearing big news coming from Bo Albert. Apparently another donation has been made. So we shall have to wait and see. As we get news that the safety car period is ending. Lachlan Capel bringing the magnificent McLaren 570S into the pit lane. Timing not very retro, says Sean McNamara, as we're about to get our race start going. And I still have 1 minute and 20 seconds to go before I can go back to my usual voice. Safety car is in pit lane, and we get ready for this restart, Mr. Jones.
I just heard Yeaman say he's got a bit of a grenade to give every single one of these drivers after they get racing, so look out for that.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's see then who gets the best start and who gets their day ruined here at Daytona International Speedway. Under 35 minutes to go in the Motorsport Australia DriveOnCancer. 50 seconds remain for this retro commentary. Unfortunately, Jack Marrow with another technical issue here as they lead themselves away. Daniel Benefield will take the start and into turn 1. Into the first corner they come here, and Toby Musico tries around the outside, 3 wide coming into the first corner. But they manage to work themselves out as they make their way to the International Horseshoe for the first time under these racing conditions.
Musico mugged Mizomo off that restart. Mizomo spun all by himself.
A massive crash. An absolutely massive crash.
And Travis as well are involved in their own incident further up the road.
This is an absolute disaster for everyone involved as Musico is trying his best to avoid getting run into the rear by other cars, and that's 5 minutes past. I am back to my normal voice. So, thanks very much for putting me through that, guys. Thank you very much for your donations. Musico not having the best of times here.
No, he's big crash back up onto the oval. 4, 5, 6 cars involved.
Okay, and once again, it's while we're on a replay. This is what happened to Musico. That's such a shame. There was nothing he could do there. Just a big slide there from, I think that was Scott Travis. Meanwhile, the big crash coming onto the oval. It looks like Musico might have been involved in this one too. Ooh, okay, it happened ahead of him. Wow. So how many cars were involved in that? So we'll see very shortly what the cause of that incident was. But Daniel Benefield back into the lead of the race, and there's more dramas happening in the opening corners here. Jackson Austin and David Parrott alongside each other coming into the International Horseshoe. As into the pits comes Toby Musico and Rory Wilson. Plenty of drama happening here in the final hour of this race.
In exchange for Benefield not receiving an additional waiver round, every single driver now must complete a bus stop and go before the end of the race.
Wow, okay. So the question then becomes, when do you decide to take it? And we're hearing that Simon Mizomo has an extra one that's coming up now too. We're up to $1,730 donated, and right on cue, it looks like we've got Simon Mizomo in the comms box with us, and some unfortunate news for you, Mez. Drive-through penalty for you.
No, it's not a drive-through. You know that bus stop and go everyone just got given? You got another one, mate.
Oh, Caleb Bellac actually doing a bus stop and go in the wrong fashion there. There's another car there.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a Race on Oz car. Dan Mirko. Now, here we go. Bus stop and go penalties being done here. We should talk to Mez as all of this is going on, right?
Simon, you got us then, mate?
Yes. There's a bit panicky at the moment, but I'm good.
Enjoying your comeback through the field?
I was until I had a talent issue on the restart, but it was going good.
No. Well,
I was having a lot of fun. I was thinking, like, geez, like a tornado in a trailer park. I was having heaps of fun coming through the field, but I completely balls that one up on the restart.
We were ragging you on because for the last 30 minutes, you actually had a bus stop and go hanging over your head. The moment you got to the lead, you were going to be given a bus stop and go, but you ruined that for us.
Yeah, no, Daniel's just decided to give the entire field a bus stop and go. So, I've got to have to deal with that a bit later. But, kind of taking myself out of it with that little mistake. But, well, is what it is.
You have to do another one, by the way. You've got 2 to do, Simon.
2?
Yeah, I donated one for you, but unfortunately, you put yourself out of the running.
Wow.
The drama.
How could you do that to me?
We are live in the SimSpeed comms box. There is a fist fight now happening between Simon Mazzomo and Ryan Jones. Actually,
after all the years of working together, this is what you do to me.
This is the retribution.
Oh, man.
Well, I just wanted to give you that news, Simon.
Oh, that's all right. So I've got 2 to do. I've got one as part of the whole field, and then the second one that, thanks to Ryan, I got to do.
You do. Talk about the race, though. It's been action-packed, hasn't it?
It's actually been awesome. Like I said, coming through the field, there's been a few little sort of scuffs with a few people sort of getting the elbows out, which is good fun. But it's been it's just been cracker. I'm kind of glad I kind of had that earlier incident because that sort of set me up to come through the field. Big shout out to my team boss for giving me the stop and go. The safety car to get back into it. But that was heaps fun. Outside of turn 1 is now my favourite passing opportunity because I think I passed half lots of cars around there, just absolutely throwing it. It's damn, these cars are just amazing. I honestly, I used to go on and on and on about how the Porsche Cup car was the best car in the service. I think handsomely overtaken by this thing. It's just crazy amounts of fun, and you can sit right in the rear of people as well. We talk about aero draft or aero wash and all that sort of stuff. These things you can be right on the hammer of someone and still be able to carry heaps of pace through the bus stop. It's these things are just insane. I love them.
I reckon you should probably serve one of those now. I reckon. Oh no, you've kept going. When are you going to take it, Mez?
Next time, I'll do one for you next time around.
All right, we'll leave you to it, Mez.
Next time around, I'll serve yours, right? I'll just for you. I'll dedicate it to you, Ryan. How's that?
Thank you very much. I wish you'd gotten to the lead and then been slapped with that instantly, as was the plan.
I wish I had got to the lead. It's been so long about it. I would have been like, hey, I let her lap. Who cares?
Speaking of slapping, we saw it on the replay just then. Scott Travis having an issue at the bus stop chicane. He has taken a fast repair and is now back out onto the circuit, but way down at the moment in 16th spot, which is a shame for a driver who was knocking on the door of potentially a top 5 finish. So that the bus stop and go for everyone in the field was decided by race control to be in lieu of a second wave around for Daniel Benefield. So we'll see how this affects the goings on in the race. There are only 7 minutes remaining to get donations in for race affecting actions. So if you want a bus stop and go or something to that effect, then get your donation in now. You have until 20 minutes to go to do that, as Mazzomo takes that second bus stop and go that we were discussing just earlier.
So Butterfield's lead is still only about 4 seconds because Jack Mara has yet to take one of his bus stop and goes. Ewan Baker sitting in third. It's a close fight for second here between these two. Baker was half a second quicker last time by.
Yeah, Baker's certainly a good steerer in any car, but he is absolutely in tune with that Cadillac right now, isn't he? It's a shame that he had his incident earlier on. He could have been involved in the lead battle for quite some time otherwise, but there is still time for him to potentially take that back. Daniel Benefield, of course, getting this large benefit from the bus stop and go for everyone. There is still time, 5.5 minutes, for you to get a donation in that potentially affects the number 44.
I'm still not sure if we're getting a second safety car or not.
No, we're not.
Okay.
They extended the safety car in place of that. As we see here, looks like Tyson Broad is making his way around here. David Parrott, but he is going to have the outside into turn one. Is he brave enough to try and make it work? I think he's a bit too far behind for a pass to really be done here. It's going to be a defense for David Parrott into the first turn here. He parks it right in front of Broad, but oh my God. All
deep.
right.
Too deep, way too deep from Tyson Broad. And coming out of pit lane just next to them is Dan Mirko as well. 2 laps down though for Mirko, unfortunately.
Yes, it's been a rough race for quite a few of our Race on Oz runners, but not for Cruz Mason. He's managed to make his way up to 4th. This is it's been a fantastic drive from Cruz, despite the team purchased bus stop and go. And he's certainly running well, isn't he? Managed to get into the 31s on his fastest lap and running more or less mid 132s regardless, as I see that Ewan Baker has just made his way past Jack Mara, and that's on the run up to the bus stop. And it looks like both of them are going to be taking their bus stop and go here. And Mara gets the better run. Actually, I didn't see Mara stop. He didn't come to a complete stop. So I'm not sure if that will have to be redone. Regardless, it's still a sizable penalty.
Pretty sure Benefield did a stop and go as well.
All right. Keep an eye on Jack Mara here. And he doesn't stop moving.
It's like the little stop you do at the stop signs. Not that I don't stop at stop signs.
Yeah, we definitely don't advocate for that. Ryan just stopped himself in live on comms.
I said you, not us. I said you.
And here we go. Yep, another donation has come in. $150 from Sean McNamara for one more safety car.
Didn't we hit our limit? But
actually,
anyway.
We hit our limit for safety cars with waiver rounds. Okay, that's an important clarification to make. You could still get a safety car with no waiver rounds up until, well, I suppose 2.5 minutes to go.
Should be a nice and quick one too with the field. Not too strung out and no waiver rounds to issue. But crucially, will give us a fight to the end between these drivers who are hungry to get a win. Surely someone out there is going to drop a last-minute bomb on Benefield.
I think, yeah, surely indeed.
No, no, Poe's been extremely generous.
Oh, he certainly has.
Thank you for all your donations, Mr. Albert.
We also just saw a very nice pass around the outside for Simon Mazzomo on Caleb Bellac there.
He's back up to 9th place, despite all of his indiscretions.
Indeed, it's been a very up and down race for Simon Mazzomo and for Caleb Bellac as well. keep our eye on Cruz Mason, who's now in 5th spot. Tyson Broad having recently made his way past him. And there's potential here for David Parrott to make up a spot 2, get himself into the top 5. But how long will it be before that safety car is called by race control? .8 seconds. Well, it doesn't matter what the lead is because they're going to get brought back in. There's 15 cars on the lead lap. Rory Wilson, the final car on the lead lap, he's a minute and 22 behind. So he'll be thankful for the safety car to bring them back together. Toby Amusico as well, sitting in 14th. He's a minute and 11 off. He will definitely be a big shot at getting back into the top 10 and maybe even the top 5 with the pace he's shown. I think he's been 2nd or 3rd fastest all night long, really. Yeah, that's a fair call to make. I would do the same. He's been very quick and has certainly shown a good racing brain as well in his fighting with Caleb Bellack earlier. Meanwhile, Ewan Baker looking at trying to find his way back past Jack Mara, but nothing doing at turn 1 for the time being. Equal on exit out of turn 1. Baker's still able to push just a little more into the braking zones. He is able to pull that up and get the car rotated for the run out of the horseshoe. He looks potentially even close enough for a big dive into the west horseshoe, but I don't think he would do that. We've certainly seen that go wrong quite a few times.
This would be close. A good exit here will set up the trailing car for a good run up towards the chicane. This is Ewan Baker chasing Jack Mara back down. 10th quicker last lap. If he can sit about this far off of Jack Mara coming out of the chicane, he'll be in a very good spot come the end of the main straight.
Yeah, look at him. He's doing it.
Good exit too.
Okay, can he get it done? The deadline has now passed a minute ago for bonuses and penalty donations.
And we are up to $1,880 donated. Here comes Ewan Baker. Huge momentum.
That's massive. Oh, Mara's going to fight it. Is he going to go too deep on the exit? No, he pulls it up. Good defense. But Baker getting a slightly better exit out of the first turn. Here he goes for the dive. No, pulls out of it right away. Once again, a good racing brain in Ewan Baker's cranium. Knows how to have a good fight with someone. This has been a thoroughly entertaining race, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and it's only going to get better. We're going to have a very quick safety car shortly, we suspect, thanks to the donation from Sean McNamara to set us up for a grandstand finish. I think we're just waiting for everyone to clear their bus stop and goes to give us a nice, clean fight to the end. It'll be an absolute sprint, won't it?
Oh, yeah.
Baker, hang on. Oh, he thought about the dive. He dummied him into the chicane.
Trying to unsettle Jack Mara there. Take 2. Take however many. Mara is going to be watching in his mirrors to see what Baker does, and I would guess, with plenty of evidence to back me up, that Mara's going to stick to the inside here. Here comes Baker once more. Straighten up the car. Get a clean run into the turn. Mara does run a tiny bit deep. Ewan Baker with a slightly better exit here. Mara is not going to leave the inside open, but Baker has the racing line. He has the rubber. He's probably going to turn this into a slightly better run off the International Horseshoe, and he does for a few moments, but Mara's just putting his car in all the right places right now. He's moving around though, isn't he? We're just watching this battle with bated breath right now, waiting for it to explode into something.
And I think they both know that there's a safety car coming as well. Race control have advised the drivers to get the bus stop and goes out of the way.
I'm wondering if there'll be extra penalties for anyone who doesn't by a certain point.
Broad comes in, stops for quite a while, and then eventually gets going. And Simon Mazzoma is coming in for his final stop and go.
Here comes Baker once again. Momentum with him, but has to go to the outside again. Almost gets alongside Jack Mara. And the Porsche has to delay getting on the throttle just a little. Again, the defense, but the inside is left open, and there goes Baker. A little bit deep, loses it under brakes, locks up. Jack Mara keeps the position.
To call a block pass, but he didn't get it right. Safety car is called. 15 minutes left. Should give us 10 minutes of racing and a grandstand finale here. Can anyone catch Vanderfield though?
Yeah. Can they indeed? Of course.
All right.
We didn't hear what Jay just said. Jay just dropped the absolute wisdom bomb of, since they're under safety car, everyone's going to catch Benefield.
Ancient wisdom there from Jay Kennedy.
Oh, yes.
Always appreciated.
He's not wrong. All right, well, we'll reset one final time here with under 15 minutes to go in the race, and considering how long, well, that's fast. Goodness. Obviously, the black flag for that will be cleared very quickly by race control. So, depending on how long the safety car period lasts, I think we're going to be going green with about 10 minutes to go. So it'll be a proper dash to the finish here.
And there are no lapped cars in amongst the top 4. Alex Wilson sitting in between Cruz Mason in 4th and Dean Jacobson in 5th. How did Cruz Mason get to 4th?
He's been there for a bit.
I know, but, well, I didn't know. I hadn't seen him there. It feels like he's had a really rough race.
I even mentioned it. I mentioned it like 10 minutes ago.
My memory is not that great. 10 minutes ago may as well have been an eternity.
Ryan Goldfish Jones. Yeah,
that's gonna stick.
Honestly, I didn't quite see how Cruz Mason got up to 4th either. All I know is I saw him there, and well, he could potentially get onto the podium. Have a look at the strats here. Look at Tyson Broad. Look at how many pit stops he made.
2.
And he's in 6th.
8.
8 pit stops. My goodness. One of them is a drive-through penalty, but certainly his virtual pit crew has earned their salary today.
And the lapped cars are going to get waved around here.
Oh, are they? Interesting. Well, there they go. At least one of them. And it looks like we have one of the Race on Oz Cadillacs preparing. It's Billy Harold making his way past our leaders. Alexander Wilson was also given a wave around there. Dan Mirko too. And I also see Cody Metcalf in the number 18. Next car to do the wave around is Scott Travis. I see 2 more that are making their way to the front of the train. It's Kurt Nommensen and Greg Patrick. And with all of that, it looks to me like all of the wave arounds have been done. So we are on for, as you said, Ryan, an absolute grandstand finish here with 11 and a half minutes to go. All of the cars in frame right now, minus the safety car, are in contention for the win of the race here.
And that safety car is crawling at 60 kilometers an hour. They're trying to get some warmth back into these towers. I'm being sent goldfish gifts now, so thank you for that.
Beautiful.
And we I feel like for Mara, he needs to get the ultimate launch here on the restart, stick right with Bannerfield and just send it into turn number 1, because I think if they get through the first corner, Bannerfield's going to check out. I think all the drivers that can run with him for at least half a lap are too far back. I don't know if Mara's got the pace to do that. Hopefully he proves it wrong.
Yeah, I hope so too. Failing that, Ewan Baker, probably the only other driver who could potentially do it. He has shown some great pace, but remember, his qualifying time was a solid 4/10 slower than Daniel Benefield's pole time of a minute 30.337. And Baker is still prepping. He's still trying to get some heat into those tires, which is difficult to do when your car is at a like a 30-degree angle.
Those laps cars are now catching to the back of the train. Greg Patrick's the last one. He's just going through the bus stop chicane now. We could be
Right.
we should send him back racing now, really, I think.
Yeah.
Pace car off to the left and let's go.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why Capel's pulling away here. Is he going to come into the pits? Or no, I think he slowed to a crawl just to allow the wave around cars to catch back up. So we will stay out for one more lap here, and I would say it's going to be 7 minutes to go, and we finally see the green flag come back out.
So 17 cars left back on the lead lap now. A few cars still a lap down. There are more than one down when that safety car was called. That is Scott Travis just finding himself back into position. I reckon we should leave the safety car out to hold Benefield up in turn 1.
Yeah, just pull in at the very last moment.
And confirmation safety cars coming in this lap. So that'll give us, by the time they get there, 7 minutes of absolute chaos, I suspect.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be so much fun. How much chaos are we going to see in these opening laps of the final green flag period for this race? So if you're Jack Mara, or Ewan Baker, or Cruz Mason, you're watching Daniel Benefield like a hawk. You're waiting to see when he puts the power down, and you know, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be at a disadvantage because you can't start accelerating until Benefield does, or at the very least you can't pass him until you've crossed the start-finish line. So you would need to be Nostradamus to know when that number 44 Porsche pulls away.
It's so hard to do. Coming out of turn 4 of the oval, you've got the entire stretch down to the start-finish line where you can go. Normally, well, if it was a NASCAR race out of 4, you've got the restart zone, but road racing rules, they can go whenever they like. You cannot even try to gauge when he's going to do it.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, the moment of truth is fast approaching. Lachlan Capel puts the power down and pulls away from the rest of the field. Big thanks to Lachlan Capel for serving as the safety car driver during this race. A job well done.
he didn't
Big
crash,
thanks.
so done a good job there.
Yeah, of course. Big thanks to Worm Paints as well for providing the livery for the AOG safety car. It's a very nice looking machine. But they're all in a line through NASCAR 3 and 4. Daniel Benefield maintaining 80 k's an hour. Safety car is in pit lane, and Daniel Benefield can go whenever he likes now. It's just a matter of waiting and watching and hoping that you'll be able to get the traction, that your reaction times are 100% accurate onto the stretch coming onto the tri-oval. Is this going to be the move that wins Daniel Benefield the Motorsport Australia DriveOnCancer? He's leaving it very late, isn't he?
He's in the restart zone. He's gone in the restart zone.
There we go. All right, and pretty good reaction times from Ewan Baker and Jack Mara too. But once they get to the braking zone here and accelerate out of turn 1, Benefield is going to start gapping them. So if you're Ewan Baker, you have to focus on getting past Mara. As wide as Tyson Broad, unfortunately. Cruz Mason is going to maintain 4th spot. Tyson Broad is in trouble. Dean Jacobson and Jackson Austin in the 2 Race on Oz Cadillacs chasing the Drop Bear Motorsport Porsche. Daniel Benefield streaking away, already up to a 0.6 of a second lead.
Can Mara stay close enough to get this slipstream? Out on the oval, it will close him right up if he can. He's probably just on the cusp of it now. Needs a great corner here and a great exit. As he turns in, uses all that curb. Gets the power down, a little slide though. And I reckon Benefield's done enough.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, problem for David Parrott. He is spun. Looks like maybe a little bit of damage to the front. But in any case, Daniel Benefield has now extended his lead out to 7/8 of a second. I can confirm that David Parrott just put the power down coming onto the oval, and just the rear end just swung on him. So not much more to be said about that. A very consistent race comes to an end for David Parrott, at least in terms of fighting for position. Meanwhile, Caleb Bellack is still trying to fight his way through here. This time, still racing with Simon Mazzomo.
His old sparring partner, Musico, is just behind him as well. We could see that
is.
battle. What a last time as Ballack runs wide. We will see that battle again. They're side by side again.
Oh,
Musico
boy.
and Ballack. They started the race. They're going to finish the race like this. And Musico chops his nose and gets up into the top 10.
And look at that. Opportunistic dive, meanwhile, from Rory Wilson, trying to get past Isaac Edwards, but it doesn't work. So Wilson is back with Harrison Arendt now, his teammate in the Porsche.
Travis pitted for some reason, unfortunately. Black flag he picks up out there.
Maybe for passing before the start-finish line or something to that effect. I'm not too sure. But in any case, the battle for the lead looks to be over, but it's certainly not over for the midfield and for the minor positions. Rory Wilson moving past Isaac Edwards, who falls back into line and could potentially make a move coming into turn 1. Ewan Baker in 3rd spot. He is looking fantastic here, still keeping the pressure up on Jack Mara. These two a bit more well-matched in pace than I anticipated. Mara, of course, qualified in 4th place. Ewan Baker is where he started right now in 3rd, but could he make it 2nd with a monster slipstream coming down to turn 1? He's not close enough to get the move done here. Daniel Benefield sets a new fastest lap of the race as up the inside of Tyson Broad goes one of the Race on Oz Cadillacs.
Cruz Mason.
Yeah, Cruz Mason. He's made his way back up into 4th there.
Broad just ran a little wide, tried to hold it around the outside, ran out of grip, but out onto the escape road. He went a little runoff between turn 1 and what is turn 8, the other side of the circuit. As Ewan Baker closing back up on Jack Mara, the battle for P2, truly alive here. They're only a second off Daniel Benefield at the moment. They haven't been dropped too quickly here. One little mistake for Benefield to put him right under pressure on the final lap.
Yeah, absolutely it will. Benefield's new fastest lap, he's dipped into the 1 minute 30s for the first time. Ewan Baker, meanwhile, 1 minute 30.9 is his fastest lap. That was set on the previous lap too. And so he is absolutely ranging in on Jack Mara here. Has to focus on the exit of the bus stop. It was a clean exit from the both of them, but it looked like Jack Mara just had a slight traction advantage. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. There's going to be this is going to be the start of the final lap here. It's going to be white flag for Daniel Benefield crossing the line here. And it is still on for second place. Jack Mara, once again, dropping from the server for just a moment. And so that would put a little spanner in the works for Ewan Baker. As Caleb Bellack has got a black flag.
Contact! Tyson Broad into the back of Cruz Mason.
Oh, no. All right. Oh, man, that's such a shame for Cruz. Looks to me like maybe a miscommunication on the braking zone there. We'll see if we can get a replay of that after the checkered flag. The race is still not over. We still have half a lap of racing to go. And it's still on for P2 between Jack Mara and Ewan Baker. Daniel Benefield is nearly 1.5 seconds ahead of these guys. They are not going to catch him unless he has a blown engine or a disconnect or something to that effect.
Baker has enough in hand. He can afford to just send it. If he gets a slowdown, so be it. He's got enough time in hand that he can serve it and keep third. What's Baker got up his sleeve? He sent it into the chicane.
Wow, that's massive. And he managed to hit all 4 apexes as well. But is that going to be enough?
Don't think his exit was strong enough.
No, certainly not going to be strong enough to overcome Daniel Benefield, who out of NASCAR 3 and 4 is going to take victory after being absolutely throttled by penalty donations. That's your top 3 right there. Benefield, Mara, and Baker. It's side by side for 4th. Tyson Broad, no, that's for 5th. Mazomo and Jacobson. There's only 200ths of a second separating them at the line. Isaac Edwards just gets past Harrison Arendt. By the time they get to the start-finish line, Harrison, unfortunately, out of fuel. So here's what happened between Mason and Broad. You see the door was left open, but Broad moved right just a bit too late.
Yep. Just one of those things. Probably braked a little bit earlier than he was expecting, and Broad couldn't switch across in time, searching desperately for any way to get by, but unfortunately for Cruz Mason, who ends this race in P15 as a result of that.
That's a real shame there for Cruz Mason. But still a well-driven race from him, and a well-driven race from everybody in this server. It's a shame about Aiden Luthwaite and Ethan Bass, who could not make it to the finish, but everyone ahead of them, 22 out of our 24 starters, have seen the checkered flag.
Well, that was something.
It certainly was. Magnificent. I love charity events like this. You know, they always bring out the best in the Australian sim racing community. We got some entertainment out of it. Certainly got a lot of banter, which was awesome. And we got a cracking race as well. It is won by Daniel Benefield. 1.442 is the gap, with Jack Mara and Ewan Baker completing the podium. Tyson Broad and Simon Mazomo round out the top 5 for Drop Bear Motorsports and 9.5 SimSports. Dean Jacobson finishing just behind Simon Mazomo there, with the run to the line won by the 9.54. Jackson Austin and Toby Musico. Look at that gap. They crossed the line literally side by side. I can't believe we missed that. That's an incredible finishing margin there, with Rory Wilson and Isaac Edwards rounding out our top 10, Ryan.
Wow, just gone back to see that little finish between those two. P11 went the way of Kurt Normanson, head of David, John Parrott, in P12. He had a real up and down race. Cruz Mason, unfortunately, ends up 13th in the end. Picked up a couple spots in the last lap. Caleb Ballack, 14th after running out of, had that black flag late on. Scott Travis, 15th, another driver who was all the way up and down the order throughout the evening. Harrison Aaron in 16th. Michael Cullen for Pixel Racer Club, last car on the lead lap. Billy Harold, Cody Metcalf, and Dan Mikro running out your top 20 drivers.
Greg Patrick, 4 laps down in 21st place. Alexander Wilson, 5 laps down in 22nd. And the last finisher here, unfortunately, we lost Aidan Luthwaite and Ethan Bass, which is a real shame. Lachlan Capel has certainly won the race control race by being the only McLaren to take to the racetrack. Here's a replay of that final move there between Musico and Austin. Incredible run to the line. And of course, there is Jackson Austin using the apron as you're allowed to do on the final lap. And there was literally nothing between them in the end.
Jackson Austin was scored ahead. That's the car on the bottom. I reckon Sebi Musico is ahead. Looks like he's a bit further ahead.
Yeah. Interesting. If we go back one frame, I don't know how to call that. Well,
the results. Results have Austin ahead.
Yep, it's the in-sim scoring that counts. And Austin is indeed ahead. Wow. What a race. And we can move into the post-race talks. And I think we can bring in Ewan Baker first. Finishing 3rd place behind Jack Mara. You certainly gave it your all on that final lap, Ewan.
Yeah, a bit of a Kiwi pride there on the line. So yeah, I was going to send it, do the best I could, but Jack got an absolutely mega run through the bus stop on that final lap, and I just couldn't quite have anything for it. I mean, masterclass of a defense. What can I say? Yeah,
absolutely. We saw it from the outside, and it was a fantastic battle between you two. Your race didn't get off to the best start with the unfortunate spin out of the bus stop chicane, but considering you finished 3rd in the end, seems like it was a pretty good comeback, though, of course, the nature of the event certainly had something to do with that.
Yeah, most definitely. Yes, still very early in the year, but that definitely takes the prize for the dumbest thing I've done so far. Yeah, it's
only up from here, mate.
Yeah, we would hope so. Yeah, I was just pushing too hard on cold tires and just went over that bump. And as soon as the thing got unsettled on the grass, I could not save it, and it just fishtailed its way into the wall. Feel bad for the other guys that got taken out in that. I think Jack Mara was one of them, so it's good to see that he managed to recover as well. And maybe a couple others, Simon Mizumo, I think, but he finished, 5th? So, yeah, good thing with the nature of the event that it mixed things up and brought everyone back into the race, because, yeah, I'd be feeling pretty bad about it if everyone suffered and, were running around the back all night because of it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, yeah, it's a good point you make. You all finished really well in spite of everything. So one final question from me. Kiwi Sim Racing, are you thinking about a Daytona 24 program, and is this good practice for it?
Yeah, exactly. We've got 2 teams going in, so I think we've got 9 drivers in total. So yeah, 2 entries going in on the 11 a.m. split New Zealand time. I don't know what that works out. 9 a.m. for you guys. But yeah. So it's good practice from here. I know another couple of guys were doing some of the IMSA practice and the officials. So yeah, definitely learn not to crash on lap 1 if I'm going to take anything away from this. Yeah, file that in the old memory banks and yeah, try not to embarrass myself in front of the whole team.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Ewan. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just a quick shout out, Kiwi Sim Racing, sponsor Speed Nation, Scott Technology, and Inspire.net for all that they do. And yeah, big thanks to you guys and everyone involved putting this on. It's a great cause to put on, and fantastic that we managed to raise the amount of money that we did. You love to see it. So thanks, guys.
Thanks very much for joining us. Ewan Baker, 3rd place for Kiwi Sim Racing. And Ryan, I think I'll leave it to you to have a chat to our race winner, Daniel Benefield.
Daniel, we spoke to you a few times tonight. Started off fantastic with pole. You got absolutely hampered by a few penalties, but you got up there on the end. You got the victory.
Yeah, it was a race. That's for sure. I was kind of hoping it would have just stayed how the first stint stayed, to be honest. I would have much preferred that for the entire 2.5 hours, but alas, that's not how it happened.
Talk us through the last portion of the race there with the wave arounds. Got yourself back to the lead of the race, and then having to fend off that last restart. You waited a long time to hit that throttle pedal.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure, like, the fuel was fine. I just wanted to make sure it was only going to be a 4-lap race. And obviously the shorter run to turn 1 meant less time to slipstream before the line compared to the rest of the restarts where it went a bit earlier. But yeah, I wanted to wait a bit later for that last one to make sure didn't go the extra lap, which yeah, I probably didn't need to wait as long as I did, but I wanted to make sure.
Also, fantastic, because you got there first. You've won yourself a Next Level Racing Pro Gaming chair, so that'll be pretty handy for the office, or well, for the setup.
Yeah, I needed a new one. My secret lab is falling apart, so that can finally be retired, and I'll probably use the new one in my room for my setup.
Beautiful. In terms of the event, it must be pretty cool to come race and be a part of raising $1,800 for the Cure Cancer cause and be a part of the event itself. Yeah.
To be honest, it doesn't take much to convince me to drive a GTP. But yeah, obviously, we raised a lot. To be honest, going forward, I wouldn't mind we keep this iteration of the event. The 2.5 hour solo race is a big challenge, and it's a lot of fun. Kind of reminds me of the old 2.4 hour days before we had team racing, but that's going back a long time now.
Yeah, of course. Well, who do you want to give a shout out to for helping you get to the top tonight, and well, those who tried in spite to stop you getting there?
Yeah, I said it in the server, but I'll say it here as well. A personal shout out to Bo Albert for making my life hell and then making it quite a bit less like hell in the space of about an hour. Also, all of our sponsors at Drop Bear. So I can never say it. Tom will be very mad. Thank you, Jay. Tom will be very mad with me. And Cozy, Revolution Racewear, and Bowler. I've forgotten. Thanks, Jay. Jay, can you just do the sponsors for me? Because I think you know them better than I do.
He's heard the spiel a few times before. Well, beautiful. Thank you very much, Daniel, for being a part of the show and making things pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, no worries, guys. It was enjoyable as always driving the 963.
Well, there we go. Brilliant stuff from Daniel Benefield. Looks like Jack Mara has jumped in as well for a chat tooth. Second place finisher there, Jack. You were one of the cars caught up in that lap 1 incident from Ewan Baker, so it must be satisfying to finish second in the end.
Yeah, it's cool. That was cool. A little roller coaster there coming out of the bus stop. Unexpected, but very entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, it certainly was an entertaining race from our perspective. Was there what was the feeling like when you realised you were in contention for a podium?
Look, the DSR strategists pulled a blinder today. Unfortunately, bit thin in the wallet, so couldn't afford any nice wave rounds or timely penalties for our competitors. But look, no, that was so much fun. Myself and Scott Travis in the other car, we had a blast, and I know the event's it wasn't the 6 hours it was envisaged. That's not even a word, you know what I mean. But yeah, look, that was awesome to be part of, and can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't either. Thanks very much for joining us, Jack, and congratulations on second. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Or just the team at Sneckerchenny for making the greatest chips on the planet. And of course, you guys for putting on the event, such a great cause. And it's awesome to see all the guys donating. That's really appreciated, and I love the work you guys do. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Jack, and good work from you two tonight. That was Jack Mara there. And finally, we can bring in Aussie Online Gaming's head man, Dan Yeaman. It looks like we have another prize to give out, Dan.
That's correct, Reese. Yeah. Now, I heard you guys say it was the race winner and random. It was, yeah. So actually, top three tonight, all of our podium sitters, Dan,
yes.
Jack, and you will all get Next Level Racing gaming chairs. Random. It was, yeah. So
big
actually,
thanks to the team there.
top three. Also,
tonight,
yes, all of our podium
we have
sitters,
a
Dan,
random
Jack, and
driver
you
to award one of those gaming chairs too as well. So I've put into this random number generator 4 through 24, which represents all of the drivers that started today's race who are not already guaranteed to win a chair. And in a second, I'm being told, Jay will bring that up on screen, and we'll be able to draw that one for everyone here, and actually be able to present that to one lucky driver here on the results tab. Just while Jay's doing that, a massive thank you to everyone who's been watching along and fundraising today. For those who are in the know with this event, unfortunately, it was meant to be 6 hours and a full imitation of Daytona with LMP2s and the GT cars as well. Scheduling, changing the dates way back when it wasn't actually public, as well as just numbers didn't come to fruition for a team race at least. Meant we had to come to this format as it was, but look, 24 drivers still put on a pretty good show, I have to say. And of course, that was made possible as well by the drive-through penalties, the bus stop and goes. Shout out to Ewan as well, actually, I should add, who actually came up with the idea of the bus stop and go in his registration form submission. So that was great to be able to have that one there. But yeah, look, that was absolutely awesome to be able to have all of that one there. So I'm told it's all ready to go. So I'm going to hit the magic button, and we're going to award an additional Next Level Racing gaming chair to the 18th place finisher, which was car number 4, Billy Harold. Congratulations, Billy. That is one chair that will set up to go your way.
Hooray! Oh, goodness me. Congratulations to Billy Harold. And, thanks very much for joining us here too, Dan. And thank you to you and the crew at AOG for putting on this event. Just a brilliant way to start the year, really.
I mean, without a doubt, yeah. The event is the result of Schubert Motorsport Australia contacting us to host an endurance race. It was initially to finish off last year. We then did pitch the charity angle back to Shub, and he was happy to run with it. And then thanks to Tim at Next Level Racing for suggesting Cure Cancer as the charity of choice. And hope to the team at the Game on Cancer initiative as part of the broader brand of Cure Cancer, we'll be able to do them proud with the $1,880 raised here today.
Absolutely. And Ryan, pleasure to share a commentary box with you once again. This was a fun night, and I certainly hope this is the first of a long line of charity events of this nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I think platforms here to have a great series throughout the year, really, of different charities and keep this going. I think the format worked brilliantly tonight, and obviously everyone had a lot of fun making life difficult for drivers out there, which is pretty unique. I think you don't get to sort of impact the race that way normally when you're watching on at home, and just I think a really good event, and good to have you up here as well, and Jay, I suppose.
Of course. I suppose it's the typical Ryan Jones. Is that a compliment or not? Oh man, what an event! Thank you all so much for watching and for donating. Just an incredible outpouring of support from the community there. The grand total raised remains $1,880, and that will all go straight to Cure Cancer. Actually, we're hearing that there is one more donation coming, so we'll update you on the final tally. It will be $2,000 That is incredible stuff. $2,000 raised. What more can we say other than well done to everybody involved in this event? Well done to everybody who opened their wallets and gave generously to charity. And a big thanks to Ryan Jones for joining me in the commentary box, and for Jay Kennedy producing behind the scenes, the man behind SimSpeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner, and we certainly hope that you all have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time. Bye for now, but certainly not forever.